trying to guide believers to what he truly thinks is right. He's reading from a manuscript of scientific law. Throw away the rest, but you don't need it anymore. Dream master, the Lord of non-belief. If he can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams.
And never going to land. Don't believe in cryptids that leave footprints in the sand. Don't believe in spirits appearing from the dead. The only demons out there are living in your head. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means.
It's Friday night, bitches! Woo! I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Actually, I think I'm just overtired, and you'll find out why in a few minutes. And I'm just delirious with exhaustion. Anyway, so it's Friday night. The Skeptical Help Bar is open. Let's say hi to some people, because we got a whole bunch of people. We got Bad to the Bone. We got Michael Burkeen. We got William Whelan. Chris 52. Cat's Meow. I'm going down the list here. Silent Cow is in two places at once because he's in the background. We got Rabba. What's up, buddy? Devon Zipper, Dawn of the Dead. Cree Storms in the house. Kit Ford. Adrian Hill is in the house. Cat Mac, it's date night. What's up? Chris Williams. Genesis 23, Lady Gray Eyes. Woo, that's a long name, but all right, I'm there. Oh my God, I can't say it. Enigma. Woo, I'm not even drinking yet. I can't say words. Dragon Ranger. We got Diane. There's me. Julie. J.D. We got John Michael. John without an H. Victoria. Wisdom. Boo Productions is in the house twice. You'll find out in a second. Shauna. Dr. Jim's in the house. Taryn's in the house. Oh my goodness, there are so many people here. I guess they want to know all about the ghost hunt that we did. But let's go over the rules first, because we have to have rules. So let's go over the rules. Rule number 1 is that you are welcome to ask questions. That's what the show is about. It's an educational show. It's a learning show. So if you have questions, ask. Feel free. I'm not shy. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything. I mean, that's it. I wish I did, but I don't. And that's about it. So there you go. Rule number 3. I'm used to having commentary on the side, but Donna's not here today. So it's throwing me off my game. Rule number 3 is that we follow the Patrick Swayze rule here, and that is be nice. You can be in the chat room and you can discuss things. You can debate. You can disagree. That's cool. Do not devolve into name calling and just being a bitch. Don't do it. That's all I'm saying. Because even though Donna's not here, Tim Vickers is in the house, in the background, and he will vicar your ass. Trust me, he can do it, and he will. Rule number 4 is that if you do have a question tonight, please do me a favor and put a capital Q in front of the question. That way, it's easier for Tim in the background to see it and cue it up for us. And rule number 5 is my favorite rule of all time. Specialty. I didn't write it on the jug this time, but it is special. Drink up, everyone. It's a fucking bar. Woohoo! All right. Let me get I have to use my thinner screen because we got 3 people coming on. Let me see if I can do this right. There we go. Undo their mics. We got Joe from Entity 7 Paranormal, and we got Jeff from Boo Productions. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Right.
Oh, how you doing?
We're doing good, or at least I am. I don't know about Joe.
I'm tired. I got home today, so
Yeah.
I'm definitely tired. It takes me, we do a 2-day investigation like that. I'll be dead for a couple days, and I'm actually going back to Indiana tomorrow to go to a Notre Dame football game. So I got to get up early and hit the road.
All right. So for everyone that's watching, you've seen the title, so you know what the episode is about. But just a brief overview is Joe invited us out to go to the Monroe House, which is in Hartford City, Indiana, and it's after looking at so many websites and so many YouTube channels, it is nicknamed the most haunted house in Indiana. It's also been called the Demon House. And apparently it's got all this activity, and there's a bunch of YouTube channels that have been there. The Paranormal Lockdown has been there twice. And Joe has been there quite a few times. Mm-hmm. And it's come up in conversation before. And I think you just decided, like, hey, let's go out there. We talked about it. You invited us out, and we showed up on Tuesday, right? I'm trying to get my week back, my schedule back on track. So yeah, Tuesday morning, I left here, Buffalo, New York, 7-hour drive down to. Well, it was a little bit longer. It was a 7-hour drive, but I made a stop. Stopped at the Christmas Story house. So because you can stop and tour the house that they filmed the exterior shots from A Christmas Story, and I stopped there for like an hour and a half and took a tour, and I bought way too much stuff in the gift shop, but it was fun. And then I continued on, and I met up with you guys.
Did you buy the bunny suit?
I asked them.
I'm thinking about it. I did have it in my hand, and then I'm like, I'm never gonna wear this.
For a Christmas special, you could have, Kenny.
Exactly.
I could have. I really, maybe I'll order it because I know you can order the stuff, but it's just so expensive. I don't remember how much that was, but they had like the Red Ryder BB gun. So the replica of what they have in the movie with the whole box and everything. Mm-hmm. The difference is that the movie models had a steel barrel, and the ones they sell have plastic barrels. But that was $70.
Holy crap!
Yeah, for a freaking BB gun. So I was like, yeah, I don't need a bunny suit. I mean, I did have the BB gun in my hand for a while. Maybe I'll buy this because
the BB gun is practical.
yeah, I can at least use that. Yeah. The bunny suit, I think I'd put it on, and I mean, I'm a chubby guy. I'll be sweating my ass off in that thing. So, and that's, you don't want a sweaty pink fat bunny.
Well,
no.
Not to jump ahead, but Kenny was a sweaty son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that being said, he was working his ass off too. So like, if anybody thinks that he just walked in and we just casually no, he was busting. He was busting ass.
Like, I just don't sit around and sweat all day.
No, he was working it.
Yeah. So we did get there. We got to the Monroe House. Eddie, the owner, was there when I arrived. So we got to speak to him for a little bit. I don't know how long he was there before I got there. But
about 45 minutes, I think.
Okay. And then, I mean, he seemed nice. So again, like for the overview for everyone that's watching, we're going to do a recap tonight. So we're just going to talk about what we did there, what we learned, what didn't happen, what did happen. Maybe just go through the emotions day by day and hour by hour, whatever, and just talk about it, discuss it. Yeah, we'll just go from there. So the owner, my first impression, I mean, this is the first time I've met him. I thought he was a nice guy. I did feel that he was a little nervous about being in there.
Yeah.
I think he was pretty genuine. I mean, again, first impressions, I didn't talk to him that long. I think he was only there for about an hour before he left. He answered all my questions, and I asked him, I think I wasn't like confrontational or anything, but I did ask him questions like one of the ones that stood out to me was, what's your intention with this house? You know, like, I want to know, like, are you actually flipping it? Like, the reason you bought it was to flip it or to rent it out, but like, what are your intentions now? And I mean, he was honest. He was honest about it, that he was thinking about turning it into a museum and letting ghost hunters rent the place.
Well, first off, he bought it. His intentions were to flip it. And then he started to hear some things, which he even said that he was skeptical of it. You know, he didn't really believe it. And then eventually it rolled into, he started to experience things that he couldn't explain. So,
and that was my take on him too, is he seemed genuine, and like, he is like honest to God spooked out walking around that house. You know, he's always looking behind his back before he goes into a room or goes around a corner. He kind of peeks first, you know, so he wasn't faking that. That was, you know, he's genuinely, you know, nervous to be in that house. I felt
there's an Eddie inside the Monroe House, and then there's an Eddie outside of it. When you talk to him outside,
yeah,
it's far more relaxed. He's not looking over his shoulder or anything like that.
Yeah.
But inside, you know, he's very nervous. He doesn't like to be in there. He does go there. He does do work there. But he said, you know, as soon as it starts getting dark, he's out.
Hey, there's Divine Donna. What's up, girl?
There's the ball.
There's the boss. It's so weird not having that subtle commentary off to the side. Like, hey, I'm having a great time. She's like, you're an asshole. No, she usually doesn't say that. Usually.
There was a key thing that Eddie did say, though. He said it's rare. It's a rare thing that happens.
Yep.
Right.
And that really when an owner of a location says that what happens is rare, that's very telling, and it kind of exposes other people who go, like the bigger channels that go there.
Yeah.
And he did, I mean, in our discussion, and I'm not going to give specifics, but because I don't want to put him on the spot because he's not here. But in our conversations, I mean, I got the impression that he was like, yeah, it really doesn't happen as much as they claim. And I got that impression too. Like, a lot of the stuff, and to be honest, I mean, I think that anyway of most of the channels that do this kind of thing, that a lot of it is hype. Because again, you're condensing maybe one night, which is what, like 8-10 hours or more. Yeah. And if they only stay one night, they're condensing that into a half hour or an hour video. You know, so you're getting
longer than that.
Yeah.
Some of them go 3 hours or more.
Yeah, Colin does like what, 4-hour videos?
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yep. And it's, you know, I'll say this too. It was really, so I watched a few videos before we went, and I've watched a couple since we went. It makes a big difference when you've actually gone to a place and then watch the videos, because you've been in there, you know where they're at, you know, the surroundings, you know, like, okay, they're by this thing that could potentially make noise, whatever. But, you know, I like going to these places and then watching videos that other people put out about them, because you have a lot more knowledge about what you're watching.
Also too, when you go to these places, and you know, debunkers have like done videos on YouTubers who have gone to, you know, like that specific place.
Yeah.
You also see where some of the debunkers actually get it wrong because they don't understand the layout and what's going on.
Right.
And that's not a knock to the debunkers. They do a great job.
Yeah.
Fully, you know, I absolutely adore all of them. I support them. But sometimes I'm like, oh man, no, that's not right.
Right.
You got that one wrong.
Yep.
Like for instance, I mean, we were recreating we did a whole recreation of the holy water thing from Paranormal Lockdown, and that was one of my tests. Like because we watched the episode, and I think it was the second time they were there.
Yeah.
So they go into the blue room, and Katrina's throwing holy water onto one of the doors that open into the room, and then she goes over to another doorway, which is the back bedroom. Now I know now, and throws holy water, and they claim that the house shakes. And I had printouts, still shots from that video segment, and because I wanted to line it up, and I wanted because there was a continuity error that there was two that I picked out. One we solved by being there. There was one picture, and I was looking at it like, wait a minute, where are they standing? And even you, Joe, you were like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. But we figured it out. We lined up. We knew where they were, but you wouldn't have known unless you were there what happened.
Is there a way to pinpoint the date that they were there? Because I did look up, like, was there an earthquake? But I don't know what dates that they were there. So, like, because there is records of earthquakes in Hartford City. They've had, I think the site that I looked at said at least 11 of a certain number, magnitude, or higher.
Okay. Between 2014 and 2016. I think they may have been there in 2016. I think
that's what one of them was. Let me look it up real quick. Because when I looked up the episodes, I was trying to get the dates. So yeah, I think 2016 was one. Down at Monroe House. Let's see what that is. Monroe House, 2016 and 2018.
Okay. I'm going to look that up then. I'm going to look up that website that I found and see because they do have the dates of those earthquakes that were a certain number or higher. They did say that a lot more have happened, but there was 11 that have reached, whatever number or higher. So
okay,
I'm gonna look into that because it most likely was an earthquake because the security guard outside felt it. He felt the ground shaking outside, so I'm thinking that's an earthquake. Like
that might, I mean, that's something to look into, and that would be awesome. That would be cool if you could match up.
Because he would have noticed if it was a truck driving by or something like that. He would have just written it off. Yep. But they blurred his face and asked him, and he was like, "Yeah, I felt it shake out here." So, I suspect earthquake.
I think it's important though not to make assumptions because I mean at one point we thought you should be able to feel that train that goes by, and we couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, except what was we were up in the back bedroom, second floor, not the doll room, the other room. And I think, didn't you say you felt something or?
I did, but I think we determined that it was you walking.
Okay.
It was. Sorry, man. I mean, you're a little big, but you're not like massive.
I think Kenny was sitting at that point in time, so I think you're calling me fat.
Anyway, if people walk in there, move or shift their weight, that does cause those joists to bounce a bit.
Right. I did notice that in several of the rooms, the beams were very bouncy, like a lot. Where just walking across, I mean, it's. I've been in houses where the beams are kind of loose like that.
Yep.
But subtle. It's not that much. I mean, you walk by, you feel a tiny little, but like that back bedroom, it was significant. The kitchen, again, like walked in front of the refrigerator and that was just as bad because as I walked around close to the fridge, the entire cabinet that's on top of the fridge over the fridge went back and forth.
Right. And you'll see a lot of like YouTubers when they walk that path, like we were going from that short hallway into the kitchen.
Right.
They're like, oh, what was that? Did you hear that? That was a knock. And it's like, you guys hit that sweet spot.
Yep.
I know exactly what it is.
Yep.
So we can, Tim, we can put up questions as they come along. We don't have to wait till the second hour for this.
Another thing real quick before where's Moist Michael? We also call him Colin from Paranormal Files. So
yeah.
But so another thing in the Paranormal Lockdown video was they came out in the kitchen and all the cabinet doors were opened.
Yes.
So in my opinion only, I'm not saying this is what you guys think, but I think they had to have faked that because those cabinet doors actually shut pretty tight. At least the ones that we played around with, like they're not loose to where they're just opening, from walking through
on the road.
Yeah. So, that one I can't. I don't know. That was either faked or paranormal. I mean,
let's dig into that because my issue with that and with a lot of the shows like that, I guess because they're going for that, or this is my assumption that they're going for that raw kind of look, that almost found footage, but we're just doing it with the two of us here, kind of footage. But that's not like there's so much I want to say, and it's all trying to get out at the same time. I don't consider those shows investigations anyway.
They're filming.
They're entertainment. They're filming. They're for entertainment only. They are not investigating that place.
Yep.
And in particular, like what we're talking about here, Paranormal Lockdown. I think it's ridiculous to lock yourself in a place and not have all these rooms covered because you leave it open to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So you can walk out of that room and have 30 seconds. All you need is 30 seconds where one person is holding a camera and filming as you're walking down a hallway while the other person, because we know there's at least 3 people in there.
Yeah.
Person goes like this, opens the doors, and then walks up behind you, starts filming again. Now you probably have like a 15-second clip where everything looks like the continuity is fine, but you had someone off camera moving stuff.
You don't even have to do that because they're there for so long and they condense it into a 45-minute episode. They could have just said, okay, let's open the cabinet doors, because I think the clip started out back in the blue room or, one of the other rooms. And then they walked into the kitchen and all the cabinet doors were open. So they didn't walk through first and they were closed and then come back and they were open. They just started a segment and came out in the kitchen and, oh my God, the cabinet doors are open. So anybody, they could have totally staged that. Like,
as many times as I've been to that house, I have not seen that happen. Now, there was one time when we were there and some of the cabinets were open a little bit. And I'm like, I didn't pay attention to the damn cabinets when I was there anyway. So I don't know if they were already like that or not.
Right.
It was just, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then we tried to figure it out, but I went nowhere fast.
Yep.
And the thing here with us, when we were there, we had so many fucking cameras.
Oh, yes, we did.
We had more cameras than the freaking Pentagon.
Yeah.
So I had 7 set up throughout the house, I had 7 on a DVR. You had 6, right? On a DVR.
5, no, I had 5, I think, on the DVR.
I thought there were 6. I thought you had 6 blocks.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
I think you had 6 blocks.
And then I had 3 of these set up. And then another little handy camera set up. And then on top of that, the cameras so then I had the static camera that I took with us every room we went to. And holy.
And each one of us had a camera. Well, Moist Mike, Michael didn't have one.
Yeah, he didn't have a camera.
Moist Michael cannot make it tonight because he's watching the fight and all that, right? I think that's what he's doing.
Can we talk about the Mexican restaurant incident?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Tell the story.
So, we went out to eat, whatever. We're at this Mexican restaurant. And I just look up and I see Mike holding his cup. It was nobody was drinking alcohol. And the damn thing just fell sideways onto his lap. And he's like, oh, and right then and there, these girls walk in. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh man, girls just walked in.
Oh my goodness.
So embarrassed.
He's like, oh my God, there's Coke going down my ass crack. I can feel it soaking in. What do I do?
And the lady in the booth the lady that was in that booth over there, she's just laughing her ass off, dude. She's got her margarita. She's happy and she's just laughing.
The lady's husband's like, no, we can't see anything. Don't worry, you're fine.
Right. He stands up and his whole front and his ass cracked. So, oh, God.
Yeah, Kenny and Joe get their phones out and take videos of it. It was a good time.
Yeah, we were taking pictures.
Yeah,
because that's what you do.
You have to.
I moved them over to my my laptop, but so yeah, that's why we kept calling it, because he said I think at one point he's like my pants are all moist, and that was it. Like he was moist Michael for the rest of the time we were there.
And for the full video, go to Joe's channel and become a member, and you'll see the whole video.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Were you watching videos while you were there? So we didn't. I don't think we
watched a couple.
There was
we watched.
We had to. Yeah, we bring up videos because you want to make sure you're in the right place.
Yep.
And it's amazing now, like you said, Jeff. Like I have to rewatch those 2 episodes because I watched them before. Now I know the layout of the house. Mm-hmm. Now I want to go back and see how long it took them to get certain places.
Yep.
Because, I've noticed they made dramatic timing where it's like something bad happens and it takes forever for them to get there. And it really it didn't. From the main room to get down to the basement, it took a few seconds. We were there like that.
I think in that part, though, I think Katrina was upstairs. I think she was. Yeah, I think she was upstairs, but even still, I mean, Nick, so in that part where he's saying something grabbed him and clawed his back, it's like that crawl space is about this big in certain places, and dude, you rubbed up against a floor joist. Right. That's what scratched your back. It wasn't nothing. So I have not watched that show in years. I used to actually really, really like that show, but now watching it again, it's like, oh my God, this show's ridiculous. Like this is so bad.
But I think it also puts things, especially, once we get our episodes out there, even when I just put my episodes out there and you compare my investigations to all those other bigger channels, it's like, man, like everywhere they go, it's banging. When I go, it's the most boring shit you ever seen in your life.
You've worked hard to get what you've gotten from there. Like, I mean, how many times have you been there? Would you say like 9, 10 times?
No, shit.
More than that. So, I mean, and you've got how many things that you can't explain have you gotten from there?
Just
roughly.
Maybe barely a handful that I don't have an answer for. I'm not saying it's unexplained, Kenny. I'm just saying.
All right, my bad.
I feel over here.
I forgot. We gotta not use that word.
A bad word.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's unexplained. I just said I don't have an explanation for it. I don't. That's all I'm saying.
Which is the definition of unexplained.
I like this. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is a tsunami, moist. How moist was Michael? I would say like 8.
Yeah.
8. I mean, it was not this, but it was a big. There's older.
It was probably like this.
It was a big glass.
Yeah. It was bigger than that. Yeah.
It was full. And it just all dumped. And he just watched it.
I don't even know how it happened. It just like fell sideways out of his hand. I'm like, how is that? I can see it falling out like underneath.
It's
out sideways.
Obviously, it was paranormal. I mean, that was the only paranormal thing that happened.
Kenny, now that's unexplainable.
That is unexplainable, actually.
I will allow that to slide for now. So Kenny, did a creepy clown doll attack you while you sleep? No. My second night, I stayed in the doll room.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had my cot long ways pushed up against those shelves where all the dolls are.
Yep.
So that's where I ended up. And the only thing that bothered me was the damn train. Like that thing.
But I've reviewed the DVR footage, and a demon, in fact, did come up and tickle your balls. Like, well, I haven't showed it to you yet or told you yet, but it definitely happened. It's on camera.
Well, it had a hard time finding your balls at first. But eventually figured it out.
I mean, he had a sleeping bag. So
2 little bumps there. Razor bumps.
It's not the size, it's how you use them. So yeah, the second night I slept in that room, no issues. The first night, so let's go over that. Like, so we set up these cameras. We had the entire place covered. I mean, you seriously could not move around without us knowing what you were doing.
Right.
Except for the bathrooms. They're the only 2 places that we did not have covered.
And thank God, because we did eat Mexican. So
yeah.
There was absolutely zero chance for anybody to do any kind of fucker. Like it wouldn't have happened anyways. But again, there was, even if we thought about it, we'd be like, oh, we're on camera.
Although we do have to state that Kenny did say he brought magician string. So I'm just saying that why does Kenny carry that with him? Makes me a little nervous. Sus.
Well, no, I had it with me because actually I never unpacked it from my when I was out at the science conference.
I know, I'm just messing. Although I wish I would have known that. I wish I would have known that when I was doing B-roll, because I would have loved to have used that to get the planchette to move on the Ouija table.
Why am I something?
So yeah, everything was covered from head light.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure somewhere in there you're going to see us scratching our balls, probably picking our nose, something.
But you know, I mean, I also want to say that it wasn't to try to catch someone faking stuff.
No.
I mean, that's part of it. That's always part of it, because you don't know. Like we know each other, but we know each other mostly online. Joe, I've only met one other time. Jeff, I never met in person before. Michael, I never met him, so I don't know who he was. So you want to be careful of that. But you also want to make sure that people don't accidentally bump into things.
Yes.
Or just make mistakes where they don't realize they hit something, or they rubbed up and scratched themselves on something, you know, and this is a way to do it.
Because the second night after you went to bed, we went old school, and we just did, and we caught some potential EVPs, but we have to check the videos and make sure that no one was moving, scraping the floor, you know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, but yeah, that's why everything is under camera. Unfortunately, we had taken down the DVR cameras at that point, but you know, it is what it is.
We have our cameras. We can watch our movements and see if maybe something that we did made it sound like, you know, there was a ghost voice.
Yes.
But
see what happens. I stop going and they get something. I don't show up.
Well, wait a minute, because when we were investigating with you, Kenny, we didn't go back and listen to the recordings.
Yeah.
We just let it roll. That's
right.
So when we did it, we went back and we listened, you know, immediately after we were asked, which is something we should have done in the first place anyways. But
I mean,
I set up multiple cameras anyways too, because I don't know if, you know, maybe a location owner or a staff member may be trying to like fuck with us, or maybe I am investigating with other people, and they may seem legit, only to find out that, well, they've been doing some shit that they shouldn't be doing. I mean, we've had this. Kenny,
shit.
Oh my God, Kenny! Oh, this show just got better.
The demon kidnapped him.
Yeah,
Because
the demon
Joe,
got him.
you've actually had experiences with like someone that you trusted, and you and Matt caught them faking something.
Right.
And
It was
called
things
them
were
out
being
on it.
staged, reenacted, and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yep.
And we had to take care of that. It sucks.
That was weird.
Yeah.
The demon got you.
You have an attachment, Kenny.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, we had a guy who we thought we could really trust on our team, and Matt and I, we went, looked, and we were disappointed. And we just said,
right,
we can't do this. I won't investigate with him.
Yep.
I don't. I mean, I get the recording and then listening to it right away, but I guess for me, there's never been any evidence presented that would say that a ghostly voice is out of our frequency range, what we would hear, because the recorder is picking up sounds. It has to go within a certain range of that microphone, and to replay it, it has to be within the certain range of that speaker that's coming out of the recorder, which is going to be within human range. So if you're capturing what people say are a voice, it really needs to be analyzed to see what it is, because if it's in our normal hearing range, then you should have heard it, or it's something that was there, but you didn't realize what it was.
Can you hear a dog whistle?
Depending on a dog whistle, yeah.
All right. So let's take a dog whistle that you can't hear.
Okay.
Right? Record it. You're going to hear it. Even though you couldn't hear it with your ears, the digital recorder is going to pick it up. And it's going to not amplify, but try this. For whatever reason, sometimes when there's a frequency that is out of range of our ears, it ends up being placed in a frequency range within the digital recorder that we can hear, if that makes any sense. I remember I was in, I don't even know if you want to call it a relationship or not, but the girl that I was on the phone with, she used a damn dog whistle. I'm like, what the hell is that? It was painful. She's like, it's a dog whistle. I'm like, I can hear that. She's like, how can you hear that? I'm like, because it's coming through. Like, and then I tried to explain it a little bit to her, and she kept doing it. I'm like, you're doing it again. She's like, there's no way you can hear that. And she does it again. And I'm like, she can't hear it. I can.
Okay.
So
that's telling me the recorder is not replaying it at a frequency that you can hear. That's something your hearing is different than her hearing, which is okay. I mean, that happens, but that's not the recorder. The recorder isn't changing. It's not taking a frequency that it can't record and replaying it in something that it can. That's
I can't. It's hard for me to explain.
Yep. I will say this too, though. So like sometimes when I do EVP sessions, I will put headphones on the recorder that I'm using. The audio is definitely amplified from what you can hear without the headphones.
Right.
Right.
It is amplified.
Yep. And that's why, and I've caught things that it's like people aren't hearing, but I know it's an outdoor voice or something like that. It's people walking down the street. I've caught that before because you've got that amplified audio in your headphones, right, and you can hear that. And you can, that's clearly outside.
Well, so some of these recorders, I mean, the digital recorders are meant to be dictaphones. So they're meant to be placed in like a conference room or an auditorium to capture all these sounds. So yeah, it's going to be amplified, but the sound, the decibel volume, the decibels are going to be amplified. So you're not going to change the frequencies though. It still is going to be a certain range. So we still have to look at the microphone range, the frequency range from the microphone to see if it actually can pick it up. Because if it's out of its range, you're not hearing what we think we're hearing, because it's just not capable of picking that up. Again, I don't have stats in front of me, so I don't know. I want to make sure that's clear. I don't know what the frequency range of different microphones are.
I have an EVP that I would love to share with you sometime. I'll send it to you because it's very, very clear. It's, you know, and the thing is, you're probably going to tell me that somebody faked it, but it's this guy. I've known him for years. He's not going to fake this. So let's take fake off the table and say, okay, what is this if it's not an EVP? But I'll have to send that to you for a future conversation. It is clear as day. This little girl's voice is singing. She goes, "I hate you, Harold," and it's just about as clear as that.
So, to that point, and I'm going to answer this, but then I want to get back on track for about the Monroe House.
Sorry.
I understand knowing someone for years, but that doesn't disqualify anyone from faking things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I know it's something people don't want to admit or don't want to think about, but it does happen. Just because you've known
I know it does. I know it does.
I mean, you can look at serial killers who live in a great neighborhood and go to church, and nobody realizes that they're killing people.
And that's why I could never say that this is evidence of a ghost, because there's always the possibility that it was faked. However, you know, give me an explanation other than faked, I guess.
And that's, I mean, I'm not going,
right.
I try not to go fake because, I think we talked about it at the Monroe House. We talked about this, that when you say something is fake, the burden of proof is now on you to provide evidence of that fakery. So if I have nothing to go on, I can't say it's fake. I mean, I can, but I have no evidence to support that. So I'm not going to. I'm going to say, hey, I don't know what caused it. If I don't know what caused it, I can speculate and say it could be this, it could be that.
Yeah.
And did somebody introduce noise into it purposely? It's a possibility. We can't rule it out because we don't have any evidence to show what it is.
I just busted the Foreman brothers doing that. So
you did. You did. And that's your last video that's up, right?
Yep.
That's okay. So everyone that's watching, if you haven't seen Jeff's last video, it's really cool. I love the way you caught the audio. I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch the video because it's really cool. So let's hit some like two or three questions. Cat Mac, do you think that Eddie, the owner, was nervous because he believes the house is haunted, or was it because Kenny the skeptic was there?
I mean, I think it's because the house is haunted, because I've seen him in other videos act the same way. And there again, it's not an act. It's like he's genuinely always peeking, looking around. And so
every time I go to the house and he's there, he genuinely does not like to be there. I don't think he was nervous because Kenny was there. I did not see him acting any different than any other time that I've been there. I do believe that he believes that there is something going on there. And to be clear, he doesn't like even say it's ghosts or demons.
Right.
It's just something I'll let Kenny touch more on, because Kenny was the one who had the conversation with him. But I mean, yeah, he was nervous, and not because Kenny was there.
Yeah.
Jeff and Michael were nervous because Kenny was there.
I definitely was. I'm not gonna lie, I was.
Why? I wasn't gonna. It's not like we were sleeping in the same room.
No, it's more of a, so like it, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but like the way that I investigate is, I mean, I do a lot of the things that you do. I do a lot of things that Joe does, like debunking. Let's come up with logical explanations for this. But then again, I also will sit in a dark room and ask questions. And as soon as I started doing that, I saw the eyes roll. So I was like, oh shit.
You were right. Up in the back bedroom. Is that what we're calling it? The back bedroom?
Yeah.
Upstairs?
Yeah, upstairs.
Yeah, upstairs back bedroom. Yeah.
So we're back there, and I forget exactly how it started, but I think Joe said something like, Jeff, you want to start asking questions? And Jeff got like this cheesy smile on his face and picked up his camera and kind of turned around and just readjusted. He's like, I don't wanna. Like, I feel silly now.
And that's the honest to God truth. When you have like, and I'm actually going to write, and I'm going to ask Laura if she wants me to write an article for her magazine, but I want to tell my experience investigating with a complete skeptic, because it was interesting, and it does some things that I do. It's like, God damn, in front of Kenny, this seems absolutely ridiculous. Like, honest to God. And that's not a dig at you, but it's like,
No.
I'm sitting here in a dark fucking room.
Because you're being judged.
Yeah. Asking questions to what? You know, it's kind of how I felt. And it's, there again, but it was, like I said, I learned shit by doing what we did the last couple days. I definitely learned some things. And
so yeah, I don't give a shit. I'll ask whatever. I'm not like, but my problem, one of my issues I was having is I've been to that house so many times. I've asked all the questions I could possibly, ask. And really, I wanted like Jeff, I wanted you to be, more upfront and ask questions. Same thing with Mike.
Yeah.
But Kenny being, who the fuck is Kenny anyways? Yeah.
Right.
No.
Well, that's what I said. That's what I said the second day. I'm like, all right, Kenny, we tried your method last night. Today's spirit boxes and cat balls tonight.
Which was a joke. That did not happen.
That's right. We did not bust out one cat ball. We didn't even bring out the spirit box, unfortunately.
Your reaction is, I take it as a compliment, because it's not just not the part where if you feel silly, it's the part where you're starting to think. I guess not starting to think, that sounds bad.
Yep.
You're rethinking what you're doing.
Yep.
And you're taking a closer look and thinking like, well, maybe why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's sometimes that's all I can hope for. Like, let's reevaluate what is being done here, and is it fruitful? Is it going to do something? Is it going to move this investigation along, or is it something that is done for entertainment, for ourselves and for people that are watching? It's something that was a tribal knowledge.
And your whole investigation is, okay, these are the things that people have said they've captured on video. Let's investigate that. You don't even attempt to talk to dead people in a room. You spend, and you're very, very thorough. Like, I've never seen anybody like you take pictures of every square inch of the outside of the house. You write shit down. So you definitely are thorough in that part of it. Like I could give a shit about talking to dead people in a dark room. Like, you have no interest in that. But you just do things different. And I'm not going to say different. I do it, but not nearly as much as I should, or as much as you do. I guess that's one lesson I learned.
Right. And for us, look, we go there, we listen to the claims, we try to figure out if we can find another logical explanation. And then, like for Jeff and I, our next step is, okay, so let's see if there is something, paranormal here going on. And that's when you sit in the fucking dark like an asshole asking questions. And yeah, it is very silly. But at the same time, how else are we going to go about trying to capture evidence of the paranormal, the afterlife, or demons, or just whatever? How else can we do that? And I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. My answer for now is sit in the damn dark and ask a bunch of questions, see what happens.
So that sounds like tribal knowledge,
right?
There has been no positive results from that, even though it seems like there is no definitive results that you can say, yes, this will pass any kind of scientific scrutiny. It's purely subjective.
Oh yeah,
that, and it's done over and over and over again.
I'm not claiming that is scientific at all. Like,
I'm discussing this in general. I'm not pointing these comments directly at you either.
No, I know.
Right.
When I hear you say, how else? Like, that tells me, like, nobody knows. just because how else doesn't mean that the methods being used is correct, because it's almost, I would dare say, it falls in the definition of insanity, because doing the same shit over and over again, and you're just spinning your wheels. Mm-hmm. There's no progress. Nobody knows anything more than they did years ago when they started. Mm-hmm. So it's the same shit.
When I got started in the early 90s, I didn't learn from the television shows or anything like that. I learned from a team. This is how we do it, and that's what I had rolled with. Over time, I learned more things and kind of like did other things, to try to like debug or research or whatever. But I mean, that's how I learned. That's what I was taught, and that was long before the crazy television shows.
And I'm the opposite. I learned and I didn't investigate with the video cameras and stuff like this, but I definitely went to a few places because I learned from Zach Baggins. So you go in the dark. Sorry, Kenny, I just shit on your soul. I apologize, but you go into the.
And thank you, Jeff, for joining us. You are now out.
But you go into the you go into the darkest room possible, and you go, "Is there anybody here with me? Scratch me, push me." So the first few times that I went out on my own, and there again, I wasn't calling myself an investigator, none of that shit. I was mimicking the TV shows. And then I realized later on, after gaining some knowledge, that like, that's stupid. Dana's scratching me. Yep. Mrs. Boo has entered the building.
We got about 8 minutes before we go to break.
Oh shit! Already?
First night. I know it goes by fast.
It does.
These kind of talks when we get together, and like when I see you guys do lives, and once in a while when I get to join, but these go by fast because we have so much we can talk about, and I enjoy it. That's why we're going like 4 hours tonight.
We have to stop before the Tyson fight.
Fine.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna turn my camera off and mute my mic and watch it. But
so the first night, I think we focused on the basement and the main floor, right?
Right.
So we went in. We did go into the basement for a little bit. We were in the blue room. We were in where else did we go? Oh, we went into the room before the theater.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Yep. Okay. And nothing happened.
Pretty much.
Like nothing. And it was funny. Like when we got there, I kept laughing at you, Joe, because and I'm not making fun of you, but after like months of you telling me this is the best place, if there was one place that would show you something, this is going to be it. And then as soon as we get there, you're like, yeah, nothing's going to happen.
Yep.
Oh, I've been saying that beforehand. Nothing's going to happen. I did say, if there's any place, this is it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This could, potentially it. But also understand too that, again, I believe that this stuff is rare, and I do believe, I don't have proof of this, but this is just what I believe, that in certain situations, I believe that certain individuals are targeted, and with this type of haunting that I believe it is, and I'm not stating this as facts, just what I believe is that it seems to only target certain individuals. Now, with all of us there, and like being also skeptical of things, I knew nothing was going to happen. I just knew. And there are times where I'm there. I've been there by myself for a few days, and nothing has happened. And then there are times when I'm there, I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. Like, holy shit. Okay, cool. But for me, I wanted you there. Well, first off, I wanted you there because it's fun to hang out with Kenny. It's more fun though when he's not talking and he's sleeping. But I also, hear some of these claims, Kenny. Let's see if you have an explanation.
Right.
because I don't. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm some sort of scientist and physicist or anything like that. I'm not. I know just enough, but not enough.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So to say. So one of the things that I wanted to know was, where does the sewer line run? And I purposely held off on that question when Eddie was there for you to be there. And then I asked that question: where does the sewer line run?
Right.
Because what were one of the claims? These nasty smells.
Yep.
Right.
And it just so happens that where that sewer line runs is where people are getting the smells, and we even experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we did notice too, when we were walking around outside, that town just gets 30 seconds of it smells like ass when you're standing outside.
Yeah.
So
it's
some of that drifting into the house, and that's what people are smelling, because it's definitely a sewage smell outside. We experienced it a few times.
So it is something that I've never known, and I've been outside many times. I would definitely notice it.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I've noticed. I'm like, damn. I'm like, whew. I was telling Jeff, because we were walking back to the house from the library. I'm like, it stinks out here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they built a new plant or something like that, and that's where it's coming from.
Yep.
And then because Jeff and I was like, what is all that smoke? Jeff was like, is that a cloud maybe? And I'm like, no, there's a lot of smoke. I've never seen that from a certain area of the town.
Yep.
So maybe I don't know, maybe there's something new there that they had built, and that's what that smell is on the outside.
I got it. Yeah. I went out to take pictures from across the street. And I came in later and I was like, it stank out there.
Yeah.
It came in. I knew it came because I'm across the street facing the I guess the front doors, the two porches, the enclosed porches. And it came from my left, but sweeped over. I got a little scent of it, and then it got worse, and it went by. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell are they doing over there?
It was intense too. It was bad when you smelled it outside. It was nasty.
But then we did smell. It came inside. That was Wednesday. Was that Wednesday?
It was the second day. Yeah.
Second day. Yeah.
Yep.
But really, day one was more like night one, right? Getting to talking to Eddie, setting things up, investigating, and it was a quiet night. Now we had a bunch of stuff recording and things like that, audio, and I got to go through that stuff and see what's going on. Jeff's got a lot to go through too. I'm sure Eddie's gonna look through some stuff. So night one, there really wasn't much to night one, to be quite honest. You slept in the basement.
I slept in the basement. That was interesting. I mean, it wasn't good. When I've told people, like I told people here I work with and a few other people, and they're like, why did you do that? I'm like, because it's supposed to be like one of the most haunted rooms, and it's a creepy basement, and there's the crawl space where the remains are and stuff. So that's the creep factor. But it was no big deal. I set my cot up. As soon as I turned the light out, it was dark. I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep. And I tried to, but again, the train kept waking me up. Once in a while, I thought I heard an animal, but it was probably just me, because I would hear like that, a little scratch of like the nails on the rock or the concrete.
Yeah.
Just once. And I would move because I'd lift up to look around, and I guess the sleeping bag and the cot made noise. So that was it. Nothing ever happened. I was like, all right, well, if something's down here, maybe they'll just, do their thing and then go away.
I think I had a camera in the crawl space, so there may be a possibility that I captured it.
The only thing I would say that was kind of weird, well, not weird, it was I woke up and I think it was like 8 o'clock, 8 or 8:30 in the morning. And so I'm laying in the cot, and if I lift my head up, I'm looking straight at the crawl space.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed on the right side that I could actually see the wall. And I mean, it's pitch black down there. The window whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's the window on the side that's blocked out. So it's pitch black, but I'm seeing light on the wall with a shadow of a pole. And I'm like, how am I seeing that? And I took pictures of it just because I grabbed my phone. I'm like, all right, click. I got a picture. Mm-hmm. And then I found that there's I think it's a water line coming in, but it's a metal pipe coming in. It's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, but there's a hole. It goes outside. Oh, it's a gas line. That's what it was, because I went out and found the meter. But that's going through a hole that is bigger than the pipe, and it's letting enough light in that, well, you can see, and any mice or anything like that, small rodent can get in. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we tested a theory later on.
Oh, yeah, we did.
With that hole that, some of the voices that people may be hearing.
Right. You, because I was in there with my phone and I was recording, and you walked to the backyard.
Yep.
And where were you?
I was back by the neighbor's house in the backyard because I wanted to simulate, like, are they having a conversation in their yard? Right. And so we tried to test if you could hear it, and sure enough, you did.
Yeah. And I could, I recorded it. I could hear you on the recording. That was a good test. I think that was really good. So, all right, we are at the we're at the break time. So I'm going to play our commercial break, and that means that we have, or you guys have, what, 4 minutes to refill a drink or pee if you have to.
Yes, I'm going to.
Everyone else, hang out. We'll be back in 4 minutes and 9 seconds from now.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome, my fellow skeptics. Welcome, one and all. I am the chief investigator. Oh, come along, old chap. We will have a ball. Now, if you will excuse me, it's time to open the mic. Good night. Good night. Kenny Biddle's the name, investigating's my game, and I will have at it. Quid pro quo. As the head of this committee, hunting for ghosts can be shitty, but there is nothing better that I know. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and have some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. I will find the truth this night and day, and if my name is not Kenny Biddle, then I assure you here I will not stay. Good day! Kenny Biddle's the name, goes hunting's the game. I won't let anything get in my way. Too many fakers out there, too many chefs, too many toe tappers, none of it makes any sense. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and ask some questions, alright. Maybe you might find an answer or two. Who knows? There may be ghosts in the machine, but trust me, I am not so keen. I prefer to see these things clearly, not in 144 feet. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah, yeah. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. The one and only Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle.
Joe, your camera go out? Oh, there it is.
I just went to reach for this microphone. No, I was talking to Dawn.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's move on. We got a couple questions. Let's hit like one or two questions, and then we'll look at that. Tim's on the ball. John without an H. How did you guys actually investigate? Did you just sit around and wait for things to go bump, or did you try any sort of mystery solving? Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yep.
Yeah. Did both.
Well, we also did ask questions and things like that as well. We didn't just sit around.
Here's one thing that I learned from Kenny. Like, I'm going to say this. I learned this 1,000%. So a lot of ghost hunters want to go in and say, if you're in here, make a noise. And Kenny was like, nope. Say this. If you're in here, knock on this wall 3 times or whatever, knock the flashlight over. Like, say specifically what you wanted it to do. And that's actually a really, really good point, because you can hear a noise on accident, that's a logical noise somewhere off in the distance and say, oh my God, it's a ghost. He responded, but no, I'm asking you specifically to do this. So that's one lesson I learned.
So that is something too that I like investigating with Dawson. I'm like, be specific. Or even with Dawn, like, no, be specific. Something in the room with us, because we're gonna ask, to make a sound. We could very well hear a sound and we're like, oh, okay, do it again, and then still not be specific. And there's a decent chance that could happen again.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's that general idea. Like when you see these ghost hunting shows, they usually start off these sessions by going, give us a sign of your presence.
Yep.
Let us know that you're here. And anything that fucking happens, they're like, oh, did you hear that? Oh, that was it. That was no. That's why, like, I actually felt bad. And I wanted to apologize to Michael, because I kind of cut him off. Because when we were upstairs in that back bedroom, and I think, Joe, you asked him if he wanted to start any questions, and he started by doing that, saying, like, if there's something here, give us a sign of your presence. And I kind of cut him off, and I felt bad afterwards, because I could have been more polite.
But then again, I really think that he took that as, you know what, you're right. I really got that vibe from him, that it like, I don't think he felt like you cut him off. It was like, you know what, that makes sense. Because that's definitely how I took what you said.
Right. Michael's very new at this. I mean, he has done some investigations, but he's still really new at this. So, like, he's still learning. I know, like, when I first investigated with him, I kind of had to be like, okay, be more specific, or wait, to do certain things, whatever. So yeah, he's still trying to. Well, he's still learning. Yeah, and we all are still learning, but
hell yeah.
It's still somewhat new to him.
Right. And so, I mean, I usually, because I forget that, like, it's dark. He wasn't looking at me when I started speaking, but and I do get, I do talk a lot, so I acknowledge that. But
that's said. But anyway,
when that came up, I was like, that's how I was. Like, no, we're not doing a general thing. We have to do something specific. Here's my flashlight. I stood it up.
Yep.
In the middle of the floor. There you go. You want to impress us? Knock it over.
Yep.
That's it. and it's stable enough that it'll stay up by itself, but it doesn't take much to knock it over.
And that is,
we did see Jeff kind of scoot a little closer that flashlight, kind of take the place a little bit,
But look, we had 12 cameras in that room. It would have caught me kicking it over.
No way he was gonna. Yeah, but
no.
I mean that is something specific, and this is a good thing. I think everyone that does this kind of stuff needs to do.
That's good practice for sure.
Yeah, you need something specific, and there's no reason why that should not work. We have stories that say furniture move. They either hear heavy furniture or they show up in a room and there's chairs and couches in different places. There's doors open and closed. There's drawers, kitchen drawers, all kinds of shit. So it should be no problem for an entity to knock over a flashlight. So good test. I think it's a solid test. And the flashlight did not get knocked over.
I will definitely make it a point, from now on, when I do questioning and stuff like that I will be specific like that, because like I said, lesson learned.
Yeah. I fucking forgot what I was going to say.
I'm just looking at some of these questions and comments. I'm like, yes, George definitely did smoke a lot during the investigation, but outside, of course.
Yeah, he smoked outside. The smokers. Where did the title demon?
YouTubers.
YouTubers.
The owners do not like the house being called the Demon House. They just want to call it the Mysterious Monroe House.
Yep.
Even their Facebook page, it is the Mysterious Monroe House.
Yep.
It's just the YouTubers, will sit there and call it the Demon House.
Right. And like he was, I could give Eddie credit because he was very passionate about learning more. Because I mean, I introduced myself. We were talking for a little bit, then I told him what I did, and he was like, "Yeah, if you find out anything, let me know. I want to know. If you can debunk something and you can explain something, I want to know."
Right.
And he was very animate about that, especially because I started talking to him about paperwork and about like getting maps, that I was in contact with the Historical Society, and that I was going. Well, I don't think I told him at the time, but I was going to go to the police department and get the copy of the report. But talking about this, he was like, "Yeah, if you can let me know, if I can have a copy, whatever."
Yeah, he is definitely a truth seeker, in my opinion.
A lot of locations, they are like that. Like, hey, if we get something wrong, we want to know.
Yeah.
And if you have, like documentation or something, please send it to us. Give it to us, so we can make those corrections. And I mean, there's only one place where they just didn't like that.
There's more than one place. I mean, I think I know.
I mean, for me personally,
right.
Well, no, there was two places. There was a judge that owned a location, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, guess what?" And like he's like, "Oh, hey, you know what? I can sue you." I'm like, "No, you can't. Dude, I got the truth right here." I mean, hello. And then another place.
Right. There's my experience has been mostly the opposite. Once you discover something that contradicts what they were claiming happened, and you let them know, they don't want to know. And then they tell you, "Oh, you don't put that in your article. Don't put that in your video." And they actively try to stop you. But there's only so far they can go. I mean, with you, they went pretty far, and we won't go into that.
Yep.
Right.
But, like, for me, it's like, go ahead. Like I have all the documentation. So if you want to come at me, come at me. But you got nothing. But yeah, usually it's the opposite. So it was refreshing to at least hear Eddie say that.
Yeah.
Again, I've only met him once, and that was all for an hour. So I can't say I know the guy. But my first impression was that he was sincere about it, and that I will be sending him some information. Well, I'll probably send it to you, Joe, and then you can pass it along.
I would love to have that information. And one of the things too, because I always wondered because the way the stories are told, you know, all the Berger family, you know, they lived in the house, but I never heard anything before them. So I always wondered, were they the ones that maybe built the house, or was there a family before them? Well, Kenny, you found that there was a family that lived there before them. Now, then the other rumor is that there was a fire and allegedly a child died of smoke inhalation. So now that I have that information, I can go through and I can really check. I tried to check at the library, but the internet was just kind of slow. And yeah, I don't appreciate the internet.
Yeah, part of our ghost hunt was at the fucking library.
Oh my God!
I'm totally joking. I understand it. I get it. I love it. I'm just joking.
And
how many? Before you go on, Jeff, how many ghost hunts have incorporated a trip to the library?
Actually, honest to God,
for you,
quite a few of mine have.
Okay.
Like in all honesty.
Okay.
There was a place that we investigated that involved, it was like the top illegal gambling guy in Toledo. You know, his home base was at a place not too far from us. And so I've got 150 hours at least at the library looking into, you know, and then a few other locations. Yeah. I mean, I do go to the library. So
that's good.
I'll do some research and stuff like that. I usually find that a lot of it is like what they tell you. Yeah, okay, it lines up. There may be some things here and there that are off. Now, of course, you got the locations too, where you're just like, ugh. But I don't necessarily make too big of a deal about that kind of thing. The only time I'll make a big deal about it is if it's just utter bullshit. Mm-hmm. And yeah, then it's like, okay, it's like, no, I gotta say something.
Yeah, because like when me and Josh went to that school in Ohio, like the tour guide told us just a bunch of stuff that's like, okay, you know, we're rolling our eyes, blah, blah, blah. But he wasn't lying about the history. You know what I mean? It was just the experiences that he's had and people have had there. And we were just like, okay. And then he said, you know, at one point he's like, you know, we talk to them right now if I got my DR60 out, and me and Josh looked at each other like, what the fuck?
Oh, come on. What's wrong with the DR60, guys?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It is the pinnacle
exactly
of what should be used in the paranormal, okay?
It's got special powers.
No doubt.
Yes, I'm on the top row.
You made it to the top. Congratulations.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to that, the library trip was to find some articles because I was hoping that there was a binder. I know that they have a binder with a lot of documents. There were at least two individuals. I think one was his sister-in-law.
Yeah,
did some research on the place and had a lot of documentation there, but unfortunately it wasn't at the house. It was at Eddie's own house, his private house. And he wasn't able to make it the next day to drop it off so I could see it. So I wanted to go and check in a few things. I know I had some dates for some articles that I wanted to get copies of. So I was playing with microfilm or microfiche, you know, if you will, playing with that stuff, which was fun. And it was a good trip. I mean, I also got to talk to, because the Historical Society is in the library. So I got to talk to the director of the Historical Society and get some information from her. She gave me a different map, I think from 18, I forget the date, 18 something, before the house was actually there, which was interesting. Got that, and then got some information about cemeteries that were in town that were moved. So that was helpful. That's information that I didn't have before. So that's always good to do that. I think that's important because, at least for me, like a lot of the investigations that I do on these houses have a lot to do with historical claims. You know, that's why it's haunted, because these people allegedly died in the house. And like we were talking about 3 people that died in the house, in the Monroe House. And we were trying to look for more information on it and in comparing notes. So you want to make sure that these things are true, that they actually happened. Like the case where you mentioned that there was a fire and there was a baby buried in the wall or the crawl space.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no information on that. There's no documentation that backs that up.
Well, exactly. I mean, in fact, I have the death certificate of it,
Right.
and I give you two versions of it. One is redacted, and the other one shows everything. I don't want that information to get out there. I don't want people like going to the house and saying the little baby's name and shit like that. Yeah. No. And also for me, it's like I just want to. Babies are not ghosts. They can never be ghosts. Like, because that would be horrific. You know, you watch YouTube videos, even like, and I'm not picking on paranormals. I don't have anything against Colin. I think he's a good kid, but you know, he said he did research, and there's a baby that's buried in the crawl space, and I'm like, it would take you just a few minutes to find out that is not true.
Yep.
That little baby is buried in Muncie. It's not buried. It's all the information is there.
And also, I want to add to this, when at least when I'm talking about documentation, when I ask for documentation, my meaning is census records, deeds, birth, death certificates,
official,
newspaper clippings, like actual documents, any kind of government documents, Social Security card, enlistment papers, whatever. Like these are actually documents. There's been homeowners that I've dealt with that claim to have documentation, and when you dig, you find out the documentation is a ghost hunter came in and did an EVP session,
or a psychic,
or a psychic said that.
Sounds familiar.
No,
anyway.
That's not documentation.
Yep.
And you know what? I sent you newspaper clippings. I sent you, the death certificate and things like that. But I also knew you were going to do your homework as well.
Yeah.
And I don't mind saying, this is what I found. And you may have more resources than I do, and maybe you can find something more. And you did. And then to add to that, I knew there were a lot of squirrels and pigeons in the area.
Yeah.
And then, you said, well, hey, there's a lot of squirrels. There's a lot of raccoons and possums.
That area had a high raccoon and possum population.
Right.
So it was an issue. We saw a bunch of squirrels. There were black squirrels. Which I'm not used to seeing. And I was fascinated.
Yeah. Gray squirrels.
It is weird.
It is weird.
And when you guys were wasting your time,
weird. But yeah, they're black. I'm like, I was fascinated just watching them. I was like,
I had never seen a black squirrel until we moved back to Michigan, downriver Michigan, and we were at a place, Elizabeth Park, which just so happens to be right next door to where Zach Beggins used to live in his apartment, where he had his first paranormal experience.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, a black squirrel? I'm like, where the hell did this But I never knew there were black squirrels.
We were outside. Joe and I were outside, and I was watching one and taking pictures of it because it was in a short tree right next to the house. And then we watched it as it jumped up onto the roof and ran across the one roof, went up the slanted roof onto the other side. I'm like, all right, well, we're not inside. We don't know what it sounds like, but at least we know, yes, they are going over the roof of the house. So,
I believe at that point in time, I may have had a digital recorder at that point in time, so we may actually hear it.
And
I'll check. You know what? I'll check because I have the images should be time stamped, so I should be able to give you at least a time. I don't know if your recordings are time stamped, but I
mean they are time stamped, but it's not going to tell me like exactly like what time and things like that. It just
Yeah, and while you guys were wasting your time in the library, I was outside filming a documentary about a cat attacking the squirrels. So that was some National Geographic shit.
There you go.
Proud to say I captured it.
Doing your part.
Yep.
All right. So All right, let's take a couple questions because they're building up. Cree Storm, why do channels like Joe and Jeff's always put down what they do? No, you don't go around screaming and racing in circles, but you educate and show how it should be. It's not bad. It's real.
I mean, I do it like I like to mock these channels by being absurd. You know what I mean? Like the George Foreman in my name tonight. I'm mocking the Foreman brothers because what they do is so fucking bullshit that like we got to make fun of it. I don't really put down. I guess I do. Like,
I think she's talking about you yourself. You're putting down yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it comes across as to me.
Because I don't want to ever like, I don't want to put out there that like I have this ego, like I'm some fucking great, you know,
being humble.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's a better way of saying it than what I was going to do.
I mean, same way. And I realized too that, yeah, sure. I try my best to like put like correct stuff out there and try my best to at least educate when it comes to like the investigating side. Cause like Kenny when Kenny tries to educate, he educates in sort of like a different aspect than like what I do. And I'm like, fuck, my shit's boring because nothing ever happens because this is what it's like. 99.9% of the time, like nothing. It's a quiet night. And then that, little like 0.%, it's like, okay, that was interesting. But also too, when I go through my stuff, like I'm vicious with my own, like, I guess people would say evidence. I'm vicious with mine. Like, I will scrutinize the shit out of it.
Yeah. No one will ever critique me more than I critique myself. Right. Like, in all honesty, because especially with my background in residential stuff, I don't fuck around with that. I'm not going out there with spirit boxes in someone's house and saying, well, the spirit box said this, so that's who it is. And, I just don't, I won't do that. Like my threshold for what I would present to a client is very, very, very high. And I usually don't present them with anything because it's like, that's sketchy, so.
I also want to present the location in the most honest way I possibly can. Because again, you get like the YouTubers that go to these places. And we had a great conversation about that when we were at the Monroe House, where you have these YouTubers, they go in there, they hype the place up, and then other people see it, they want to go there. Well, their expectations are that they're going to experience the same thing. They're automatically going in there with a heavy bias. So now the seed has been planted in their brain, and they're going to capture something, even when it's nothing. Everything is going to be paranormal. Everything's going to be a ghost, and that's when the psychological side of things start kicking in with what we do. It's like the psychological aspect to this whole thing. That's huge. It's a huge problem.
It's a cycle. I mean, it's honestly it's a cycle because you have this hype that goes on. I would say it might start with entertainers. So you have channels that are more entertaining, or that they believe they're entertaining. I think they're shit, but they go in for entertainment. They produce videos with a lot of jump scares or screams and hollers and running around like crazy. That goes out to the public. The amateur ghost hunters who are excited about going are primed to think every little noise is a ghost or a demon. That anything when you ask for a sign, anything is a sign. So they go to the place, they make their own videos, they freak out because they're hearing the same shit that they heard on the previous videos, and then they put it out, and it's a vicious cycle. It keeps going around and around. And then someone like you comes along and shows like 10 minutes of a hallway where nothing happens, and you're like, this is actually like 12 hours of footage, all condensed, nothing happened, but I'm showing it to you.
And the majority of the fault does go to the YouTubers who do that, but there is some fault, not all location owners, but some location owners where they will hype it up.
Right.
They'll tell them stories, freak people out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one example where, oh yeah, you can spend the night here, you can sleep in the bed, and then you read the paper, and it's like, don't fall asleep here, don't sleep here. That's when the bad ones come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and I see what's happening here. They're priming.
Yep.
It's very evident that they are priming.
Yeah. All right. What's next, Tim? What do we got? Michael Burkeen, did you guys capture anything significant that you could say was evidence from that night at the Monroe House?
Absolutely. We caught, I said it earlier, Kenny's balls got tickled by a demon.
Well, not only that, but I did prove to Kenny that there was something at the house.
Yes. Yep.
And yes, I did.
I remember this.
I completely eviscerated Kenny. And
using his words. Somebody was reading the dictionary earlier.
With one single question. And that question I asked was, if there's anybody here with us, don't do anything. And guess what? Nothing happened.
Solid proof.
Joe fucking Vitale, baby.
He fucking, look at him. He crossed his arms like a gangster.
Oh my God.
We made a joke about that. I had to.
Yeah. I mean, so we can't give definitive answers. You guys still want to go through like your recordings, and we have footage stuff. All of us have footage that we have to go through and look to see if anything strange happened, and then compare it. But even if something strange happens, I don't think it'll last long because, again, we had so much coverage that I think we're going to be able to look at different cameras in different areas and see if something caused it.
And let me interject real quick. Sure. So let's say this is a real investigation. Kenny, you had how many cameras? DVR cameras?
I had seven cameras. Yeah.
Okay, and I had 6. So that's 13 cameras for, was it 48 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's 13 times 48?
A lot.
So if you're to do a legitimate investigation, you have to watch all of that footage. You know what I mean? Like,
I had my static cameras, working like DVR or security cameras too.
Right. And listen to all of that audio.
We are going to
I know my audio. The first night it ran for, I think, 12 hours before the battery died. So you're talking this investigation, like if you were to actually analyze everything, there's 1,000 hours of stuff to watch and listen to.
There's a lot.
So I mean, that's real investigation there. That's not, ghost hunting for YouTube.
One of the other things too is, I told Kenny about this door that would just shut on its own. Now, Kenny said, well, it could be the air pressure, things like, and that may very well be. I am not a scientist. I'm not a physicist. But I also told Kenny, I'm like, I know this door shut because I felt it upstairs. We put that to the test.
Yeah.
And I was outside when you guys were testing it, and I was like, what the fuck are they doing in there? I thought you guys were remodeling.
Slamming the door.
God damn, the house was shaking.
Make sure you feel that shit.
And it was funny. You can feel it upstairs when it's slammed.
I felt it outside.
You can't feel it standing next to the damn door.
Yeah,
crazy.
You only heard it, but you can feel it upstairs. And I mean that goes in because the frame is right underneath where you were. So
no,
framing of that door.
No, it's on the opposite side.
It's on the kitchen.
So, it would be in the kitchen area because that room is on the opposite side of that door.
It's over the kitchen. The second floor kitchen is over where that door is.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need to look at pictures.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Because if you're facing the stairs, you can be in the door frame at the bottom. You're on the main floor. You're at the bottom of the stairs. If you're looking at the door frame and this side looks straight through to the kitchen, this side goes up the stairs. So if you go straight, you would go into the second floor kitchen. It's behind that wall.
Yeah, so Dragon Ranger did the math. That's
620. That's what I just got.
Holy shit. So
that's 624 hours. But I think your cameras are the same way, but the static cameras are motion activated. So
well, mine record everything, so you can watch everything.
Okay.
But you can only download and back up, in event they call it. So like motion. So
mine the same way.
I don't know. That's weird. Mine doesn't do that. Mine records everything I can.
No, it records it. I can watch all the files
right
completely, but I can only record and back up where there's motion. And I actually called them because I was pissed off. I'm like, God damn it. I don't, I want to download the whole file, but it said, no, you can only download the events. So
yeah, that's weird. Mine don't do that.
Yep. But I can watch it all.
All right, let's move on because I want to go. We're getting off. We got a bunch of questions, and I love it. I love this conversation. Chris Storm, what if the problem is we are using our living world brain to understand the spirit world? We have no idea what they can and can't do or how they do it. Isn't that why we investigate? So I will say right off the bat, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but by your own logic, we could never understand what's going on. Because you're saying that our world living brain trying to understand a spirit world when we have no idea. If we can't, it's not just, I don't think it's this. I don't think this is the problem here. I think the problem is there's so many assumptions and things that we talked about. There's priming going in where people make mistakes and assumptions based on very little knowledge. And when it comes to the spiritual and spirit world and stuff like this, it's based on belief. It's purely based on belief.
Right.
So everyone has their own versions of each belief. No one believes exactly the same thing. And like when we look at religion, people believe what's convenient for them, not what is inconvenient or what they're supposed to believe. When it comes to spirituality, they believe what they want to believe. And honestly, and this is going to sound mean, but when a question comes up that you can't explain, most people make it up. They think, oh, this sounds good. I'm going to go with this. And that's how these beliefs evolve. So
right. I think
you can't.
I personally, I think a lot of
right.
belief in the paranormal is a lot like faith in God. So like, Kenny, you and I could sit here and argue for hours. Like I believe in God. I can't prove that he exists. I know you don't, but so I can't prove it, but you cannot change my mind on that. If that
nor can he prove that God does not exist.
Right.
He just believes.
He's trying to prove me. I don't believe. I just don't believe.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, I believe that God exists, and there's no way you can change my mind. You can, because it's an unprovable point. You know what I mean? At this point, there's no science that can prove God does not exist. And
there's no reason for me to do that.
Right.
Unless, of course, you're using that as an excuse to hurt somebody else.
Right.
Right.
Then it's a problem. Then I'm gonna.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that is, and then that goes with personal beliefs all around. Like if you have your personal beliefs, that's cool. Yep. But as soon as you start teaching it or promoting it as something that's true that everyone else should believe, that's
using it as a weapon.
Criticism.
I always tell people, like, if you ask me the question, then I'll tell you. But I'm not out there to project my belief in God on people. Like,
right.
So,
and honestly, I never thought, what is the spirit world like? I'm just trying to figure out what is going on. Is it ghosts? Is it something that maybe science hasn't figured out, doesn't know about? Is it just things like that? I mean, if we find out one day that objects moving on their own and things like that have an explanation, whatever that explanation may be, but it's not a ghost, I'm not going to be bothered by that. Because that's the truth.
So there's another point, and John without an H touched on it in the chat here. But the idea of spirits and ghosts, as people believe that they perceive them, is falsifiable. Because if we can perceive them, then they're measurable. Because if we can perceive them, there's some kind of sensory input. Whether we're hearing them, seeing them, feeling them, whatever, there is some kind of sensory input. And if there is sensory input, we can measure it.
Well, let me ask you this then. So, like, I know you're not an EVP guy at all, but is an EVP a measure?
That's sound.
Right. So I mean, that's you can hear it. Right.
Yes, you should be able to.
Right.
Because if you can hear, so we had this conversation too.
I know. I know.
Here's the part where I get shit on.
So if we're going to go by electronic voice phenomena, which is voices that are recorded on electronic devices, then yes, it is measurable. You should be able to have a microphone that goes through an apparatus that measures frequencies, that looks at specific frequencies, and whatever that sound is that is perceived as a voice, we should be able to measure and say, all right, it's at this frequency, this amplitude, and so on. Go from there. So yes, it is measurable. If it's being heard without recording, if you're hearing it with your own ears, again, that should be measurable because it's within a certain range. And I mean, we do have an established range that varies with age, but we do have an established range. So you should be able to measure that and record it, measure it, and identify the frequency. But that's not happening. We're getting random audio clips where we're just listening to it, and we're listening to these audio recordings within a certain context. We're looking for answers to questions we ask. That's the context we're looking at. And if we take that out of the equation, if we take that question out, it usually becomes garbage. It's usually inaudible, and people don't understand what it is unless you have that context.
I'd like to send you a clip. This is a different one where I heard something one night in my ear, and it was not an outside voice. It wasn't blah blah blah, whatever. I should send this to you and say, okay, how can I prove that this is a legit voice that happened in the room we were in? And
so you won't. And the reason why is because you did not record it. And again, this is not being mean.
No, I know.
This is serious, Kenny.
It's all good. This is us talking shit, chatting.
It's not recorded under controlled conditions. You don't have the environment controlled.
Right. I agree with that.
You have one data point, which is one recording. That's it.
Yep.
So we have nothing else to go on.
Yep.
And by that, that opens up a whole can of possibilities of mistakes, fakery, what have you. There's a bunch of things that could make that noise happen. In order to prove it, you need to have control of that environment, a closed environment that you have complete control over, and several cameras, several recorders, audio recorders, microphones actually set up so that you can pinpoint where in that room that sound came from.
Yep.
And that's something that can be done. I've been a part of that. A friend of mine, Mitch Silverstein, actually developed one of the early systems that you could actually take 4 microphones into a room and sync them up where you could pinpoint where a noise came from, which is really awesome. I wish we could do that more. But yeah, so you with one data point like that, you're never going to be able to prove that is a voice of a ghost.
Yep.
It's just not possible.
Yep. That's fair. I get it.
One of the things that I do is I set up multiple recorders throughout a location. unfortunately, one of my cards isn't working anymore, so I was down one digital recorder. But I try, I'll listen and I'm like, huh, okay. Well, that's weird. I'll go back and I'll listen, and that other recording may actually pick up that sound that I thought was interesting, and then I'm able to tell what it is. Because sound is really weird. Like, we had talked about this. Like, you hear music from a car that's driving by, and it sounds so weird. It sounds familiar, and your brain's like, what song is that? What song is that? And then they drive by, and then all of a sudden, you hear it. Like, it sounds normal. And they're like, fuck Nickelback.
I agree.
We have a good example of this because we were in the doll room and the four of us were in there. And Joe, you were standing in the doorway and you heard a noise that you thought came from the hallway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually came from Jeff because he bumped his tripod.
Right.
And it was fascinating. I found it really fascinating because like you were standing like this, he was in front of you over here, but you thought the noise came from behind you out in the hallway. So the sound actually had to go past you in order to come back to be perceived as being behind you.
And we talked about the Ouija brothers where they were in 30 East Drive, and what's his name? Steve, his son was doing the toe tapping thing, but they thought they heard it upstairs when he was in the room with them, because they were like, "What's going on upstairs?"
Yeah, it sounded like it was coming downstairs, I believe.
Yeah, and it was like, and then all of a sudden the kid was like, "No, it was me. I'm tapping my toes."
Now
I was like, "God damn, that's crazy."
And see, Kenny, this happens a lot. Like when Dawn and I investigate, we'll hear something and it sounds completely different to her than it does to me. And she's like, it came from over there. I'm like, no, it came from over there.
Right.
And it always happens.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised that you haven't come across that.
I haven't come across it where I watched it live.
Okay.
Like I've talked to people that have heard sounds that give scenarios like you just described, where two or more people are in there and they hear it coming from different directions. But that's the first time I was able to witness it live. And that's why I was so fascinated at the time. I was like, wow, this is blowing my mind. This is awesome. You know, I'm finally seeing this in front of me. This is great.
Right. And I didn't argue. I was like, okay, because I do I understand sound and I understand how it travels.
Yeah. Yep.
So before we get on to the next question, I actually want to touch on this group thing that we had going on, because one of the main claims that I've come across is that when people go in there, they feel anxiety, they feel angry, and people that are good friends and good teammates start fighting and arguing with each other, and it's just a bad place to be in. But for us, we spent those 2 days and 2 nights together, almost nonstop. We were together, and we were having so much fun, joking around, laughing. I mean, we laughed a lot, made jokes with each other, and we're just hanging out. And when we discussed things, whether we discussed sound and how it was acting, when we discussed the kitchen door that moves, the cabinets, anything that we discussed, we had a good conversation and debate about it, but there was no anger, there was no raised voices, nobody got pissed off.
Nope.
We actually discussed it professionally, politely, and had a good time. And look, like it's 2 days later, and we're chilling on a live stream talking about it.
So,
I did not feel any sort of way at any point in that house. I did not feel like heavy or dark or, I didn't feel anything other than, okay, we're in a house that has some creepy decorations, and, I just didn't feel bad at all.
My anxiety was raised in the house, but I kept it in check, and however, there was an argument that was had.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
And that wasn't with any of us.
Right.
here right now.
Mm-hmm.
That was with.
Oh, yeah. You told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, coincidence?
I don't think that counts. I don't think that counts because
Well,
the other person was not in the house.
Well, no. That's just it. It doesn't just affect people in the house. So, for example, with this situation, there was somebody who was not with us, but somehow that spilled over and affected the other person. But Michael was sort of the aggressor in that. I'm not going to get into details of exactly what it was. That's that's for them too. That's their business. But I'm just like laying on the bed. And Mike was, everything smoothed over. Like the following day, everything was smoothed over.
Yeah,
things like that. It could have, I'm not going to tell you it was paranormal or a demon. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
good, because it wasn't.
You're just pissed off because I proved you wrong with that question.
All right, let's try to hit like 2 more questions before we take our break for hour 3, because I got a surprise for the beginning of hour 3. John Michael, ignoring that voices come from physical vocal cords, why would a ghost have a voice that's beyond the range of human hearing? Even if it was a voice, why would we assume it was a ghost? So I get it. I get where he's coming from. There's no physical vocal cords to make it, so you can't make the sound. And if it does, why would we think it's beyond human hearing? That's a good point. I mean, that's a good question, especially if people's recorders are picking it up. Again, I would argue that the recording frequencies for the capabilities and the range of the microphones would have to fall within that range.
And like I said too, the recorders, like I said, when you put headphones on with them on, they're amplified. So maybe you can't hear with your ears, but the recorder is actually picking up more than you can hear.
So that's amplifying. Oh my God, volume. It's not amplifying frequency. It's just
correct, right?
Loud.
So
right.
Yeah, you're hearing it like when you record in a stadium setting, or a conference room setting.
Yeah,
you're hearing that amplification.
Mm-hmm.
So there is theories. They're not theories.
They're not theories.
Belief. Just a belief. But they will say, well, the theory is. It's not a theory. It's just
wrong.
Belief.
Wait. I got, when they say theory, I have something here. Hold on a second.
Beep, 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 bullshit. Beep, 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 bullshit. Beep, 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 bullshit.
So it is believed that somehow spirits, ghosts, whatever, imprint an EVP onto the device. And I don't buy into that, to be quite honest. So basically, if you take a blank cassette tape and you put it down, perhaps a ghost could imprint something on it, which I have tried that. And guess what? That tape is fucking blank.
Well, I mean, so what you're talking about goes along with the stone tape theory.
Yes.
And when it comes to cassette tapes, I mean, that was the old version of the idea or the belief was that because the magnetic tape had ferrous oxide on it, which is rust, that's how you record audio signals on
the
tape. So that somehow ghosts manipulated EMF.
Cheers.
We should do that. Cheers.
Mine's empty. We need a break.
And the same theory, belief.
We'll get you
by that logic, I should be able to take just an SD card and set it down. Mm-hmm. And a spirit should be able to imprint I should have a WAV file or an MP3 file on that SD card by that logic. That's not happening.
So I agree with you because it's like,
But
even though it's different media, like you don't have cassette tape is a very different media than medium than an SD card. So different ways of recording the information on it.
But they apply the same thing too.
Yeah, because the idea didn't change. It's still like, yeah, they can still imprint, and they're not going through the microphone. But then when you try to take the microphone out and you don't get anything at all, they're like, oh no, you need the microphone because it's part of the process. And it goes back to your stereotypical ghost hunter making up whatever they need to forward the narrative, to move the narrative along. So it does need a microphone. It doesn't. You can imprint on the tape, but you need the mechanism to imprint on. So you need the tape recorder, but now you have a digital recorder. How do you do this? Oh, it still does the same thing because it's all EMF. EMF. That solves every problem. It doesn't. No. All right. Next question.
It's so silly.
If we can only hear 20 to 20,000 hertz, why would a recorder or microphone companies build products that go above our hearing?
Go ahead. So I have a digital recorder, a Tascam that records a 32-bit float, which is beautiful. That is more for like, what is it? Infrasound. Sounds that infrasound?
No, because to record infrasound, the instrumentation is extremely expensive. You need a specialized piece of equipment.
I'm not saying mine records infrasound.
Oh, I thought that's what you just said.
No. A lot of those that record at like those insane frequencies, that's like more for infrasound. I actually looked at a recorder for infrasound, and I'm like, I am not fucking paying that much money.
My bad. I thought that's what you were saying. So yeah.
But my digital recorder that I have, one of them does 32-bit float, which is beautiful. Basically what that is the floor level. If you raise the volume, the floor, what we call the floor level, never goes up. So any of that like hissing sound or any kind of like sound that is floor doesn't get louder. Only the audio that you want gets louder. And I've used that digital recorder in many, many locations, along with my other more high-end digital recorders. And I have not gotten an EVP with any of those.
I was going to say that. So I've got that Zoom recorder. You guys both saw it. It's an interesting note that I've never captured an EVP on that recorder.
Now, the little recorder that I have that I walk, take with us, it's not super low quality or anything like that. But if I think I hear something, like, when we thought we had heard something, I'm going to plug it right into that digital recorder.
Yep.
And I'm going to record what was on that cheap recorder. And I'm going to be able to I should be able to figure out, I should say, what it was. But also by lining that audio up with video to see who's moving, what's going on, and things like that.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee I'll be able to figure out what it is, but you never know.
Yep.
I'll add that I think what Dr. Jim is getting at is you want to develop equipment, so like a microphone that's recording human voice. You want to go beyond our hearing range, because you don't want to go right to the edge and stop, because then if you try to hit that your extreme levels on either side, it usually blows out. You max out what the equipment can do, and it will get distorted at the end. So you go beyond the range, so that you can work within what's called the operating range. So you have that there, and everything will operate normally, and you have that extended range just so that it can be blown out if it needs to. But you want to go beyond the range on either side, just so you have a normal working range. I think that's how I want to explain it. But that's why manufacturers go beyond what it really needs, because you want it to be able to perform normally but not wear out with normal use.
Yep.
All right, moving on. One more question, and then we will play a little something. John without an H, if you say that you can't ever say catching something on audio is evidence, what's the point of doing EVP sessions? Should you be doing experiments that are falsifiable instead of trying to prove your beliefs?
I think that's a Kenny question.
Well, I mean, this goes back to what I had said earlier about, when we investigate, like, what more can we do in terms of going and asking these questions? Just the way that we investigate. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. And a lot of people believe that they have, captured EVPs. I believe that I have.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I don't think it's necessarily a waste of time. But there is a problem, again, because now you have to look at the quality of the recordings. When people move around in a certain way, it can sound like voices and stuff like that. Now, I don't think that's a waste of time, to be honest. I really don't. It sucks, though. It may seem like a waste of time when you listen. You're like, well, I didn't fucking get anything. I just wasted hours on live. But, I mean, again, scientists, they run things over and over again, see what the results are, and then they'll come up with other ideas to try and figure out, whatever it is that they're trying to figure out. So science always makes adjustments. We're not making those adjustments. Science always changes.
There's a big difference in what you're talking about there. So when you're talking about using the scientific method on these kind of experiments, there's a huge difference.
No.
I'm not saying that. But you brought in when scientists do stuff. So when scientists do stuff, there's already a controlled environment beforehand.
Right.
So on the ghost hunter side, you already screwed up.
Right.
That's all. You're already behind because it's not a controlled environment whatsoever. So in science, you do an experiment, you have a certain set of protocols, you have controls in place, you have your controlled variable, you have your uncontrolled variables. So your controlled variables are the ones can affect your experiment. The uncontrolled variables are the ones that you are not aware of yet. As you do more experiments, you become aware of some of these.
Right.
But in each experiment, you adjust one variable. That's it. You do one adjustment on one variable to see how it affects your outcome.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a process that's being used in ghost hunting. So there's a big difference here. And I think maybe instead of using a recorder and just asking questions, maybe start looking into a quad system that I mentioned earlier about having 4 microphones set up in a room and a system that calibrates them so that you can pinpoint where a sound came from.
Right.
Because the way it's being done now is useless. There's no way around it. It's doing the same thing that doesn't work over and over and over again. And all you have, and I'm not saying you as in you, but in general, you have interpretations, but nothing else. There's no other data to back up anything that's going on. So maybe instead of doing the same thing over and over that doesn't work, that has shown over decades where there is no fucking progress whatsoever, change the technique. Figure out what you're doing wrong, which is doing the same thing, and add to it. Now maybe try to find out where these sounds are coming from, because that's the big mystery.
Right.
Like you're asking a question in one corner of the room, what is your name? And you hear a noise. Some people interpret it as a name. Some people interpret it as a place, or some people interpret it as completely different from everyone else. Mm-hmm. And then there's other people that say, you moved on the chair, or you farted, or something like that. I mean, so at least if we set up a system where there are systems that can be done, where you can pinpoint where it's coming from, you can realize that oh, it came from the person holding the recorder. Or you mic everyone. Everyone has a microphone.
Yeah. Normally that's what I do, but there was too many of us, and I didn't have enough mics for everyone.
Right. I mean,
So
these are things that should be followed through with. But instead, because it's a hobby, and it's unfortunately for the majority of people, it's not a serious experiment. It's not a serious endeavor. It's a hobby. It's something people do on the weekends or when they have off. And there's not a lot of preparation. There's not a lot of time involved because they don't have the time to set up all these experiments. But maybe start doing this. Make sure everyone is mic'd up. You know, have a mic. And like the only thing that I loved about those old TV shows like MTV's Fear was that they had the rig on that had the camera looking at the person. I thought that was beautiful because you could see what they were doing.
Yeah.
The whole time. They should have that body cam.
Because we make all kinds of noises and we don't know it because we're used to it.
Right.
But, you know, I have microphones like Dawn and I, we wear one, and I have an extra one. So if there's a third person with us, they'll wear it too. But because there was 4 of us there, I'm like, I'm not even going to bother micing because we're going to be missing one. But again, we had a lot of audio and video running, so that'll be very helpful. And that is something too that I have done in a much smaller location where I was just like, I'm going to set this digital recorder over here in this corner, and I'm going to put this digital recorder in the other corner because it's at a Y angle. So if there's a sound, yeah, I can pretty much get a good idea of where it's at. But, you know, the digital recorders that, you know, I use, they're expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't just like run out and just buy a bunch of them. Like I said, I do spread them out, and that does help. You know, again, that's right, spread them. I do spread the digital recorders out as best as I can, and that has been helpful because it helps me identify what I'm hearing. You know, something may sound like a growl, but come to find out, at that same time, another digital recorder picked it up, and it was actually like a shitty car driving by way off in the distance.
Yeah,
and that should be something that's standard. Like at least that's a start. Have at least 4 recorders going, so you can put it not in the extreme corner of every room, but like a foot out from the corner of all the 4 corners of the room. Hopefully, there's 4, and then you sync them. And if you don't have everything synced up with the time and date, you can sync them up with just a clap. You know, like when we're doing videos, just clap, say, all right, here we go. There you go. And now everything's synced, and you can take a look at it later and do exactly what you said. You can listen to one and say, oh shit, I got a weird sound. You listen to one, another one across the room, and you figure out what it is. I mean, that should start to become standard. All right. We're going to take our second break. You guys good? You guys good for going a little bit more?
Yep.
Okay.
How long is this break going to be?
So this break is 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 4 seconds.
I got
And it's debuting everyone out there. It's debuting Tim Vickers' theme song, because when Tim took over or filled in for Donna a while back, Kat Mack went and said, hey, he needs his own theme song. So she made one, and I finally got my ass around to putting a few pictures together and making a little video of it. So this is the first time I'm playing it. I hope everyone loves it. I will be back in 2 minutes and 4 seconds from now.
Tim Vickers is his name. Moderating is the game. Pinch hitting while Donna's away. He's a tortured soul with a single goal to keep the chat trolls at bay. It's the show going to hour 3 or 4. But if you really will show you the door. You've been Vickers. You've been Vickers. You've been Vickers. You've been Vickers. Synopsis, history, animals and
Oh, all right.
Jeff disappeared.
That's all right.
Jeff is a ghost.
I hope you guys liked that. That was fun. That was something I put together real quick because it's a good song. Real catchy. I was like, yeah, you've been Vickers. I wanted it real big. Just come up. It's an ongoing thing for everyone. For anyone that doesn't know, like a while back, we came up with that. It just evolved because we were getting booted and blocked from different things, different groups, because we would just inject some science into it and ask some questions. Never being mean, not being like an asshole, but just asking simple questions, and we would get booted out. And it kind of developed into being Vickered because Tim Vickers was the first to really get Vickered. And it just evolved from there. So now it's just something we do. Anyway, so with that, let's until he gets back, let's hit some questions. Maybe. He's looking. I see him.
That damn attachment turned my lights off back there, Kenny.
Oh, you're what?
That damn attachment turned my lights off back there.
Julia, the video editor. What's up, Julia? Why do you have to be in the dark? Do we know ghosts do more stuff in the dark? No, it doesn't have to be. I mean, well, I think some of the problem at the Monroe House was just some rooms didn't have either electricity or a light bulb. But there was not a lack of light because each of us had a studio light. We had a video light on our camera, so that was going. We could see everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the damn space station could see us.
There was so much light.
Yeah, I investigate during the day. A lot of times it just doesn't seem like it because there's just not a lot of light coming into the buildings or whatever. But yeah, I mean, people have claimed that they've had paranormal experiences during the daytime. So
yeah, I mean, if most of the cases that I've looked into or been a part of, the eyewitness testimony is usually during the day. I mean, it's during the day or with the lights on. It's very rare that I come across a story where something happened in the dark. For one thing, most people won't be able to see it if it happens in the dark.
right.
Or in those cases, it's audible. You know, they hear something and they get up to check it out, or they're scared and they don't check it out. So they never know what happened, and it becomes an assumption later. But I mean, I do not turn the lights out just because I don't see a reason to. I want to see what I'm doing, you know, and again, like some of the rooms didn't have light bulbs, so we just couldn't turn on a light except for what we had.
The blue room is just dark, like because it only has that one little lamp, but it has that like flickering like candle kind of light.
Yeah, I don't like those. those are kind of annoying because it's just like, you know, pick a brightness, man. One or the other. You're not a kid.
Yeah, I don't like those either. And I've been to locations where they like, here's this red light. And it's like, this red light is useless to me. It looks terrible on camera. Like, can we have like normal light at least? Make it light, something.
Well, I did make a creepy video or creepy picture with it. But
well, and how long did you guys were transferring files and stuff on your laptops using flashlights in that kitchen, and then all of a sudden Kenny flipped a switch like, oh shit, there's a light in here.
I keep forgetting where that damn switch is. I always go to the wrong damn switch. It doesn't make any sense. It's in the wrong place.
Yeah. I think I just saw the light switches. I'm like, all right, well,
see what this does.
What's that does? oh shit! Kitchen turns on.
Right. I always forget where it's at. Always.
It's on. As soon as I found it, it's like we kept it on the whole time.
Yeah.
So you know, so yeah, we don't. I don't think everyone does it. I mean, we see it a lot in TV, and I think that's just for ambiance.
But it is even during the day. It's a dark house. Like on that first floor, you need a flashlight. You know, a lot of areas don't have light switches, so
the windows are covered.
Yeah,
and some they have thick the blackout curtains.
Yeah,
And
So,
and that's not like to make it scarier, but
Right.
he's had like the police have come and like thought that somebody broke into the house, and
Yep.
apparently there was nobody in the house, or they see actual people in the house like, hey, somebody broke in. So, and that's what they're there for.
okay. All right. What else we got? Let's see. Michael Burkeen. Kenny, did you have a tea party with the dolls? I did not. My tea was, well, it wasn't empty. I had a little bit left, but I forgot about it. I left it in the fridge. But no, by the time I went to sleep, when I sit up in the doll room, by the time I went up there, I was tired. So I actually like the second to last, I guess, session that you guys did. You went upstairs. I just sat on the couch on the main floor and waited, looking at videos on my phone. And when you guys came down, I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, we thought we had captured something there for a second. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yep.
Kenny's watching something. We better go.
Yeah.
And we couldn't hear, with our own ears. It only came through on the digital recorder.
Right.
Once we started to get a little closer to you, is when I could start to hear a little bit. And
That was good though. Figured it out.
But see, if we were proper YouTubers, we would have said, listen to this conversation going on. Like that's, I really think a lot of times these people know what they're doing. I think they know what the sounds that they're capturing are, but they just don't put it out there that it's Kenny watching TV, YouTube downstairs. If
that's not it, then sorry, I'm going to say this. Then they're really stupid.
I think it's the I don't want to say culture. I think it's the I don't know how to say it. It's the way that younger kids are doing it. I feel so old saying that. But that's it. Like they are into the entertainment, the jumping around, the yelling, the screaming at each other, the running down the hallways and jumping at every freaking sound.
Yeah, we're too old for that shit. We'll break it.
There's like when you watch Sam and Colby and Twin, there's so much movement in the cameras and everything cuts, and it's like every 10 seconds.
It is.
There's something going on, some kind of change. It's like the TikTok brain. That's
that's it. It's got every 10 seconds. There's got to be some kind of change or movement.
Yep.
And zero investigating going on.
I mean, I can understand, jumping from one camera to another every so often because just staring through one on a screen, that gets boring and it makes it so much slower.
Right.
So, it's when I do my stuff, I, switch.
But you're still in the same moment. You're still in the same time. And it's just, you have to do that to get people to watch because I'm not going to watch one camera angle for, 15 minutes on nothing happening.
When you're doing a video or a television show or whatever to entertain, no matter what it is, if it's educational or what, there is a 10-second rule where you change camera angle, not throw the camera around and do all that stuff. It's basically like, even if I'm doing this, I would zoom in after 10 seconds or so, just zoom in a little bit, just so it changes it and it keeps your attention. But the yelling back and forth and constantly like moving the camera like you're doing the found footage kind of shit, like it's not needed. It's not investigating. It's for entertainment. That's exactly what it is. All right, moving on. Do you think that old claims of activity are worth investigating? Julia. Yeah. I mean, if there's a claim and you can still investigate it, I think that's the important part. Like, how old is the claim and does the location still exist? Because that's a problem that I've run into quite often, where either the room is gone because the building's been renovated, or the building no longer exists, or it's the land has changed, or something has changed where you can't do it. But yeah, old claims, I love them. I mean, I still do that in my spare time. I'll look at older claims. I mean, the Time Life books and stuff that were from the 90s and 80s, I still have them here, and I go through them and look up old claims and just see what's going on. Joe Nickel, who is my predecessor, he goes, that's all he does is look at claims, various paranormal claims, but they're from like 80, 90 years ago or more, because they're still unsolved or just forgotten. So, I mean, I think they're worth investigating because we still learn stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. All right. Yeah. Let's move on. You guys are like, yeah, that's good.
Yep. I agree.
Chris Williams, Kenny, I know you had a long list of homework to do, but did you finally watch The Scariest Places? Are you still a skeptic? Second question, yes. Still a skeptic. No, I have not watched The Scariest Places yet. I wrote it down. I did write it down right here, Scariest Places, because I have not watched it yet. Write homework over top of that.
So with shows like that and like haunted hospitals and other things, you know, I do know that like friends with investigators who are on that show, and I'm just like, you lying mother.
Yes. I was on, so I actually
Not what happened.
I was on a TV show a long time ago. It was the Pet Channel or the Animal Planet. And they did a paranormal thing, and I was interviewed for 4 hours by this TV show. I got 15 seconds on the show. They put me in a place where I never even was, and totally took what I said out of context. Like I was like, these fuckers are bullshit. Like I was.
They did that to me on Kindred Spirits as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was quick to like try to clear out some of that. But yeah, I see like people that I know that are on my Facebook page, or I was with them, and they're like, "Oh, this happened," and done it. And I'm like, "That's not at all what fucking happened. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you're lying."
Yep.
And I got the video on my channel to prove it.
They put me in a place before I didn't even know these people and what they were talking about, and then they interjected my part. I was like, I didn't even know them then. Like it was crazy.
That's
and it's too, when you're being interviewed by those producers, they will ask you the same question multiple times because they want you to say it a certain way. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I usually ask if it's okay to record. And I've done that. I haven't always done that. I actually give credit to my editor, Ben Radford, because he did a segment for, I think, the Discovery Channel. And they interviewed him for something. And he said, I'm going to write this up. Do you mind if I record it? And they said yes, which was great for him, but a mistake for them.
Yep.
Because when they aired the segment, they deleted or removed part of his conversation, so it looked like he was leaving it open to further interpretation or something else. It made him look like he was saying the opposite of what he actually said. And there's an excellent film. It's a independent film called Science Friction, not fiction, but Friction by Brian Dunning, and you can see his segment in there. He plays both. He plays what was aired, and then he plays the original audio clip, and you can see exactly what was taken out. And it's a beautiful clip. So I usually then on I ask.
There is a great power in editing. I mean, I discovered this early on. So we interviewed and took the mayor of Toledo to a haunted location. I could have made that guy look like the coolest dude on the planet or the biggest dick on the planet. Like, you know what I mean? If you can take stuff, there is power in editing. You can really shape what you want it to, what you want it to say.
I mean, it's just a few seconds of audio here and there that you clip out or just clip something early, and it completely changes the context of what they said.
Exactly.
So I mean, if I'm doing video, like this weekend, I keep saying the weekend.
I know it felt like it.
Filming, we all filmed, so there's that confidence that I have that I if I wanted to, I can't change what you guys said because you guys were all filming too.
Yeah.
So we all have copies of everything that happened. So we all know we can keep each other honest. That's what I like about that.
Right.
But yeah, all right, yeah. So let's move on because we got. I don't think we're going to go 4 hours, but we're definitely going to fill up 3.
Well, we cannot go 4 hours.
No.
Oh my goodness.
No. Because I'm
Joe
watching
smoke
the Tyson fight.
Or is he trying to catch up? No, he smoked this much.
I'm sorry, man. I'm bad. January 1st, I'm quitting. I've set the date. I've set the date.
You're gonna pull a crow and be like, "Well, I'll start it next Monday." I'll start it next Monday.
No, I really have to. So like, I mean, so not to get into it a whole lot, but I like lucked out with a lung scan, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, you got to quit. So now's the time.
Yeah, good. Sometimes being scared into it is the best way to.
But in the meantime,
yeah, suck it up, bitch. All right, moving on. Jethro. Oh, Jeffrey. Okay. How long does a disagreement take when on an investigation? How long does a disagreement take when on an investigation?
Oh, we disagreed a lot.
Yeah, we disagreed, but we talked it out.
Yeah.
And
we were adults.
Yeah, we were grown-ups about it.
And that's really, like, honest to God, I'm going to put some videos out of this, not as an investigation video, but just conversations that we had. Because there was a lot of good talk, like, for real. So, I mean, I can see multiple videos coming out of this because we had a lot of good chats.
And when I put the content out there, it's gonna be more about like the conversations that we have, like philosophical shit, guys.
Yep, and the funny shit too.
Yeah,
we can make a comedy video out of a lot of this because we're all busting each other's balls, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it depends on what we were talking about, and we did go through a lot of stuff, and we had different conversations and different points of view, different approaches, even.
Yes.
I don't know if we actually disagreed, blatantly disagreed. We were trying to figure stuff out. So we were all offering different ideas and talking it out and trying things out. And like it brought up when I brought up the hole in the basement.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I wonder if we can hear voices through that. I don't know. And Jeff and I, we were outside and it was like, all right, you want to try that now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And we did.
Yep.
And that was it. We tried it and came upstairs, played it. We could hear it. Okay, good. But even the kitchen door, that took a bit. That took a minute, because we were discussing different ideas. And then we tried the slamming. We scared Jeff. And then, I think Michael too was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Because we're just slam. But yeah. I mean, it really wasn't. It varies, but I mean, we talked it out like adults, which was good.
I mean, because again, Kenny has his own opinions, his own beliefs and things like that, and they're different from ours. But again, everybody working together, trying to figure things out, everybody got along. Right. And there's no reason not to get along.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean, even when we were at the library, and then the discussions we had about the history throughout our time there, we went back and forth, and we were I ran down and got my files because I was I'm not sure. We'd start talking about something, and I think the name Jones, came up, and it sounded weird to me, but I had focused on other people, so I was I'm not sure. Let me go check, and I ran down, got my paperwork, came up, and I was yeah, you're right. I was wrong. It's right here. I forgot. That's why I keep notes because I can't remember everything. But
and when you do that kind of research and you're running through all kinds of different names, it's hard to keep track of all of this stuff. It really is. I'm like, yeah, Jones died in this back bedroom, and Kenny, you were like, that doesn't sound right to me. And then I had to second guess. I'm like, fuck, because there's so many names. Maybe I am wrong.
Right. But we checked, and you weren't. You were right. So, I mean, that's the good thing. Like, we were able to check and verify it and move on. It wasn't like, oh, I don't know, maybe. And then
nobody does anything about it.
Nobody does anything about it, but that's what we do. We did something about it. So good. All right, moving on. We're doing good. Kenny, do you have vids or articles showing how to research? So that's on my agenda. I do have so I have my strategies. And if you want a copy of this, all you have to do is email me, and I will send you a PDF of this. And I'll put my email up here. But I have a PDF of this. I gave a copy to Jeff, but it's investigative strategies, and I really want to go through each one of them.
When I talked to you this, a couple days ago, like, I think we should do a video sometime about research tips, techniques, that kind of stuff, because a lot of people don't know how to do it. And, we want to help people, do good practices in research. So I think we should do a video.
You also have to be willing to probably pay for it a little bit.
Yeah.
I use Family Search and Ancestry. They're both owned by the same company, but sometimes when you go to like Family Search, you're looking for something, and then you go to Ancestry, there's more information on Ancestry than there is Family Search, or the other way around.
Right.
And that's how I do a lot of my research. I mean, most people are going to be documented, and you should be able to find. You're not going to be able to find like everybody you're looking for, but there's a really good chance that you're going to be able to find them, find out where they were, things like that. Census records are great because they can pinpoint you exactly where they live with the address at a certain point in time. But also, for the most part, though, where specifically like their address and stuff like that, it's not them.
Yeah, and you can dig around. But it's also, as you mentioned, like, you got to be willing to pay for some of this stuff. Not everything is free, and just because it's public records doesn't mean you can get them for free. Because the service,
which is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can go to the locations and get them for free.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to do the work yourself. If you rely on a service to gather all that public information for you, you have to pay for it.
Right.
And I mean, I've worked with people on both sides, like on the believer ghost hunter side and on the skeptical side, where they're like, hey, how'd you get this information? I had to pay for it. Oh, can you give me it? No. No. Like, you gotta get it yourself. I mean, if I'm working with you, I'll gladly share. Like I told you guys, I'll share the information that I have gladly, because we work together on this.
Right.
But if somebody comes out of nowhere and says, hey, I know you have a subscription to this, can you look this up? Like, no. Do it yourself, dude.
Just because I enjoy doing it doesn't mean I enjoy doing it for somebody else. I
have shit to do. I got a list of shit on my board over here. Look at this thing. There's 20-some things listed that I'm backed up on. So I can't do side work for other people that can do it themselves, that just don't want to pay for it. But you got to understand that, sometimes you got to pay for it. Sometimes one of the reasons I went to the library was because in order to get some of the newspaper articles that I wanted, I needed a separate subscription to just that newspaper. And if I had to, I will. But I knew I was going to be in the area anyway, so I went to the library, got out the microfilm, went through and found the articles that I wanted. So I was able to do that. I had to put the work in, though, which I don't mind. I love doing it. But
and
if I can find them, go ahead.
Never, ever, ever go off of research that other people have done.
Right.
And look, there may be people who are very accurate at it, but for the most part, you go to a website. Oh, I'm researching, and the website is dedicated to a place. Off to a bad start. Sure, names are important. Get those names, but then go search for those people.
Yeah. And researching is just it's an art form. There is not always one way to do it. There's plenty of resources that I usually check, and you can get some good information, some documents. But I don't want to say most of the time, but that also incorporates leads where it tells you like, oh, I'm going to have to go this direction. I'm going to have to go this direction to look for information. So that's why it's hard to make one specific video for researching, or even you'd have to make multiple because there's so many different directions that we go in. It's not just one. I might go to the courthouse and get like an old map, which might have information on it that I wasn't aware of. And it's like, oh, there's a cemetery that is right there. Now I have to look this up and find that, which if I didn't go to the courthouse in the first place, I would never have known about that cemetery. So there's always going to be different avenues. It's an ongoing thing. It's like a puzzle. Honestly, that's a good analogy. Researching places like this is like putting a puzzle together where you don't have the picture on the box. You don't know what the picture is. You don't know what the final product is, but you start putting pieces together and it leads to like, oh, wait, this kind of looks like this. And it leads you to put other pieces in there. So,
yeah, just like, you found the what we think is the first family that lived in the house. This is a lead for me to go look and really look into some of the other claims.
All right. And I'm gonna make copies of all this stuff and send it to you. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this weekend, because Donna's not here, so I have nothing to do tomorrow, and I have a deadline also, so I'll be in the office tomorrow.
Yeah, and then as for like the stuff, right now it's still transferring, but I plan on starting to upload all that footage and stuff. Not all of it's going to get uploaded.
Right. I'm not worried about that, and once I start editing, I'll probably just ask for specific things. Like, do you have video of this room at this time, instead of taking it all? Because
there's so much.
There's so much. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going because we got 20 minutes left and we have 10 questions.
God damn. Netflix.
As much as I do.
Netflix is crashing.
So did anything unexplained happen? I hate that word.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that one too.
Yeah, we did have a conversation about that word.
Yep.
From my perspective, nothing abnormal happened. It was kind of quiet, except for the train.
Michael spilled coca in his balls, so that was unexplained.
Well, unexpected. I mean, as far as I know, nothing, but I mean, that's just as far as I know.
Right.
There's still a lot to look at.
Hour 4.
Yep.
No, Tim.
No.
No.
No. I see you laughing back there. All right. Next. Come on. We're going to bang out these questions now. With Donna not in there, are we going for hour 4? No. 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 Apparently the fight's on and these guys want to go see it, and we're also tired. I still.
Well, I won't be. I'll just watch the highlights.
No, yeah. Netflix has crashed.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to get it to come back up, but
yeah, I think I'm probably going to crash because I got home last night and was up. Well, I got home, showered, I grabbed something to eat real quick, and then I came over here because we had a lecture going on, and it was the lecture was Tim Redmond, the guy I know. He's a good friend, and it was on the presidential curse. So I was like, oh, I can't miss that. That's my.
That would be a good one.
So I came over here and sat and listened to the lecture for an hour, and then I talked to everyone, and then I was like, all right, I gotta go, because when you're so tired, you start feeling dizzy. And
that's the paranormal hangover, Kenny.
Exactly.
Paranormal hangover. That's from staying up till fucking 3 or 4 in the morning. All right.
I think I got about 6 hours of sleep over those 2 days.
Yeah. Cree Storm, don't you think by calling yourselves boring can put people off from actually watching your channel? I don't find you boring. I like to be educated. I think some of it's just us joking around.
Yeah. Kind of. You just just joking around.
Yeah. But I mean, some of it does I guess it depends on your perspective. Because for me, sitting here, I can sit here for a full 9 hours going through records and reading, barely moving. The only thing that really moves are my eyes and my finger as I click. And my thumb, because I have one of the track balls. But if my wife comes over and she's what?
Did you say cat balls?
Track balls, bitch.
Oh, okay.
If my wife comes over for something, she'll sit here for 2 minutes and be like, this is boring. And she'll leave. And I get it. It's boring for her. So I mean, that's why I think we joke sometimes, we sit around and do shit for hours. And
But also, if you take my video and you put it up against Twin Paranormal, Sam and Colby, and shit like that, it's gonna be boring, because I'm not running around acting like an asshole, claiming everything to be a ghost.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm too old to run around. I can be an asshole running around.
Oh, we know you can be an asshole.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think most of the time when we say it's boring, it's more joking, and it's more of almost an inside joke, because we know from the outside perspective, what we do looks boring.
Mm-hmm.
We're just kind of sitting here reading. So, but I enjoy it. I think it's great. All right, moving on. Was there any strange ambient sounds other than the gas and snoring?
Not just the gas and snoring.
Yeah.
And the rain.
And the rain. Yeah.
And the
rain the second night.
Yep.
The dog barking in the beginning. That's
every time I go there, I'm like, God, please kill that dog. That's a horrible thing to say.
It is horrible.
Be careful, Joe. Be careful. PETA is watching.
The dog is only doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, right. I know, but still. I don't really want the dog to die. It's just
that's good.
It's just annoying.
He'll get canceled because he hates dogs. All right. Sarah Estep did a lot of real-to-real EVP work. How reliable was the equipment used then compared to now? Ooh. So, I mean, with that, the problem was that I believe she started out recording bird sounds. I think that's what she started out doing, but she was leaving that recording equipment out in the woods and not babysitting it. So, I mean, it's basically putting it out there, turning it on, and leaving. So there's no accountability with that. So I guess compared to now, it really depends also on who you're dealing with, because I don't know about you guys, because while we were there at the Monroe House, there were recorders that were in places where we weren't. But there were also cameras. There were also cameras, so that was good. I mean, to have both. For me, I don't generally think that's a good idea to leave an audio recorder, at least by itself. And I'm going to go with that scenario because that's what Sarah was doing. Leaving a recorder by itself and leaving is just not a good idea, because that comes back to one data point and no accountability whatsoever. So that's my take.
I don't know enough about it to, well, with that person specifically, to even.
Fair enough.
So,
Same here.
Wow, that's good. All right. Pocket watch. That's cool. Oh, that's a cool profile picture too. I like that. What would be the ultimate piece of evidence you could get that would be beyond question? I don't know. I really don't know.
something like I guess something visual. For me,
Yes.
something visual. Because we're not just dealing with sound from a digital recorder. We're actually getting something visual with sound. But that doesn't also mean it's evidence, though, either. Just because we get something, in front of our camera that may be transparent or something like that, there could be other factors going on, such as a bug just so happened to come up on the lens of the camera. And when you get something too close to a camera, depending on the size, it's going to look transparent. So there's other, there's other factors as well.
I think so. I'm going to go with the dream scenario here. Not like dream as in I'm dreaming, but like my ultimate, like this is my dream way of thinking out would be to have a location that's said to be haunted, not necessarily a lab, because that's usually my first go-to. Like, oh, we'll set up in a lab because it's already ready. So we make a haunted location, an alleged haunted location, a laboratory. We put it in, we control the entire environment, we set everything up, we have recorders and all kinds of measuring devices that we're not even thinking of right now. Yeah. Everything is set up in this one room. And we say, okay, ghost, do your thing. And the ghost appears in the middle of the room so we can see, hear, and then, of course, I'm going to walk up and go, poke. I'm going to poke it to see if it's squishy because I can't help myself. That's what I'm going to do. But after that, like the bank of tests, everything's going on. Everything's being measured. Infrared, UV, temperature, visual, like whatever that we have that can measure that room, it's being measured. It's actually there was a movie. It's a bee, like a bee. Who's in it? Oh my god, I'll have to think. It's something I think it's on Amazon Prime, but I think Marissa Tomei is in it, and she plays a doctor. And in the beginning, there's a patient that is missing, and she finds that it was taken down to a basement where they're doing experiments, where they put this guy that's about to die into this sealed room that has every measuring equipment possible in it, where it actually creates a magnetic field around it. And the guy dies, and they can't measure anything, but apparently Marissa Tomei can see the ghost. And they let the ghost out, and then a bad, evil demon gets in, and they trap it. It's an actual pretty cool movie, but that would be my thing. Like,
so like
room completely controlled.
So like in theory, like what My Haunted Hotel is doing could be cool because they own that building. They could set up all this equipment. They could, do all this shit because they own it. 24/7 surveillance on everything. And
so I know very little about them, but from what
they're sketchy, but
no, not them. Like, it's nice to own the building.
That's what I'm saying. So if you had that opportunity to own
that opportunity, that would it would take a lot of money to do.
And that's one of the weird things that kind of makes me go, why? I mean, you have all these haunted locations, so how come these owners aren't actually, shutting it down for a certain amount of time to the public, and then doing, something like that? Because I mean, if I owned a location like that, I would shut that motherfucker down. I know money. I mean, the bill's got to be paid too, but I mean, that's just something that I would do. I'd shut it down for a long time, and see what happens. The other thing too I want to point out is, something visual that I had said. I mean, back in the early 2000s, and they still have them now, not as much, but they used to run cameras in different locations 24/7. And I remember sitting there watching security cameras, and you can pick which, security camera you want to watch. And no one has ever captured an apparition. Has not happened.
Right.
Thought we had 18 cameras in one fucking room.
I don't think you're we had so many cameras. That was funny when Jeff walked around and counted them all. But I think when it comes to like a location shutting down, they're not going to do it because it's one, it would cost money. It would cost them money, revenue, because they wouldn't be able to rent it out. Mm-hmm. Or if they did, to a science team that would come in, that I think that's the only way they would do it. But it would also require extensive renovations because you'd have to install so much equipment in order to monitor at least one room. And I think that the cost is too high just for one room. And you're not even guaranteed something is going to happen. Because again, like you'd have to base it on previous controlled experiments that led up to warranting this full-scale experiment. You can't go by, unfortunately, you just can't go by ghost hunters that are claiming this is haunted. You just
why
can't.
Not?
It's you damn well know why. Oh, if I did like a half a second, I was get you to spit it out. All right. Let's see what else we got. Increased Storm. What do y'all think of Hans Holzer, the father of the paranormal? Anything? Comments?
I mean, I don't know enough, so I'll back out.
I know they had that show that was based on like the whole file.
That's his daughter. Yeah.
That's all I know about him, honestly, is that show.
I do have respect for him, but at the same time, some of the stuff I'm like,
I don't have any respect for him. I don't think he was a good investigator. I think he missed a lot. I think he relied on psychics way too much. I
don't want to say anything too bad about the guy. I mean, like,
so what you're really saying is,
I respect him for going out there, and doing his thing, whatever. But like, as you mentioned, there's these other things like,
very.
Wasn't he trying to kind of compete with the Warrens?
I don't know if he was competing directly. But I mean, as far as I know, like Warrens were competing with everyone. They wanted to be on top, But I think it was just not as intense as Ed. Yeah. But I think there was a behavior like that. But yeah, I mean, I've read a bunch of his work, and I just find a lot of flaws in it.
Stop, Tim.
Yeah, we're not doing that, Tim.
No.
6 minutes. All right, come on. Let's. We got 7 questions. We can get.
I'm watching Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Shotgun questions. Quick answers. Here we go. Kenny, question: do you think there's an element of truth to the paranormal? That's a wide net question. There can be some truth to history. There can be some truth to what people perceive, but not that there is a paranormal element. It's more complicated. This can't get a quick answer. It's much more complicated than a quick answer.
Just real quick. No, I had nothing to do with the Slipknot cover that Crow did, and I am working on Selfish, and it is turning out amazing. That gets rid of a few questions.
All right, that's good.
And I'm watching the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Oh my! That's why his eyes are going up and down. Up and down.
Exactly.
Chris Williams, I think Joe and Jeff misunderstood. It's not a TV show. It's paranormal. It's not the scariest places on earth. It's just the scariest places with David Purdy. Oh, okay. Yeah. I have not
We're
watched
dumb.
All right.
Well, I think is that the guy that like went on with the side guy one day? I think so.
David Purdy. I think I looked this up before.
Yeah. He seemed like a really cool guy. If it's that guy.
On earth. David Purdy. Purdy.
Let's bring up that next question while Kenny's
Go ahead.
looking this dude up.
What's the most pathetic excuse a person has given to you as a paranormal happening? There's
There, bro. You weren't there, bro.
right there. So
No.
that's actually one of them. And the reason it was pathetic is because they were adamant about this was really a demon. And when I started offering, like I said, look, speculation. It could be this, it could be that. Dude, you weren't there. And my response was, well, fuck, neither were you. You're fighting me on this, and neither of us were there. But you, why does your opinion have more weight than mine when I'm telling you up front that I'm speculating about this? So there's that. There is the when you ask for reasons why, like something could be this, instead of actually giving you a reason, they say, well, what else could it be? And that tells me they don't know, and they haven't looked into it, but they relied first on their belief rather than researching or investigating a claim. There's been times where people have said things like, well, that's with ghost apps. Oh my God, this is an excuse that I've heard of so many times. My son/daughter would never lie to me. And that's because they were given a picture of a ghost from a ghost app, and they're freaking out. And when I tell them, like, no, it's a ghost app. No. My son would never lie to me. My daughter tells me the truth all the time until I send him a picture with the same ghost, sitting on the palm of my hand. I'm like, there you go. You should have a talk with little dear daughter or your son and say, hey, you're fucking around with me.
I've had something similar happen. A friend of mine said that her mother was on an airplane, took a picture outside the window, and there was this freaking ghost thing, right? And I'm like, first off, why the fuck would there be a ghost on a goddamn airplane in the first place, in the fucking sky, out the window?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, that's my mom. My mom, this, whatever. And then I found it from an app, and I sent it to her. And she's like, well, I don't know why my mom would do that.
All right, next question. We're almost there. We're going to bust through, but we're not going to go 4 hours.
Yeah, I already answered that one about
good. All right, that's good. Kenny, question: what do you think is a paranormal event that's been taken too far? Conjuring House.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Conjuring House. Yep.
Conjuring House has been taken way too far.
Yep.
Amityville, like these big ones that
I have one, but I'll just shut up.
Oh,
no, say it, Joe. Oh yeah,
for you, so you don't get in trouble.
You can't say it.
Do you want to?
Haunted Hill House has been taken way too far. The Belair House, I'll say that. A lot of these famous houses, I think a lot of them have been taken too far. But Conjuring House is by far that's the top of the list.
Yep.
All right, good. Getting down there. We're almost done. Ooh, Sky Talker's a new member. Yay!
Awesome.
Thank you, Sky. Sky. I know you would squish a ghost. What would you do if you came across an alien? Squish that too. First thing, honestly, if I came across a little green man, where's your ship and can I drive? That's first 2 questions, that's it. Everything else, you want to probe me? If I can drive, I will concede.
and are we going to fight the Empire?
I was gonna say, well, that's better than what I would have done. I would have seen something like that. Like, what happened to your dick, bro?
I'm good. Has Waverly been played out too? Yeah, I mean Waverly Hills. Yeah, I a lot of these places. I mean, it's to be honest, I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to generate income in order to finance repairs and maintenance. I get it, but the way they're going about it, there's a level of dishonesty there because it's again, they don't want to know what's really going on because the scary stuff is just better. It brings in customers. It brings in the money. I don't agree with it, although I do support it because I go on these tours. You know, like, so hypocrite, yeah, maybe, but I justify it by saying I pay for a tour so that I can write about it. You know, so I can go home and write it up of what I found and have an honest opinion. So, all right. Yay, new member, Sky. You're going to get behind the scenes stuff.
We're all out of questions. Let's end this.
All right, we're done. We're out of questions. All right. That's it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We had a nice little recap, and we talked about a lot of things. We had good conversations. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And so start with Jeff. People want to know more about you. Where can they find you?
Boo Productions Paranormal Toledo. That's Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Joe?
Entity 7 Paranormal on YouTube. I like Facebook. I try to keep away from that as much as I possibly can. But yeah, just Entity 7 Paranormal over on YouTube.
Okay. Well, that's good. All right. So for me, you guys know where to find me. Shut up, John, without an H. So coming up, if you guys can just hang for a minute. Next week, Monday, I will be on the Paranormal Monkey podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
Justin, I like him.
Really good conversation.
Yep.
And then I have an interview coming up. It's recorded with the Spooky Science Sister. It's another podcast that I listen to. Really good. Paige and Megan, they do that podcast, and it's really good. They have a good time. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know when it'll be released. And then from there, let's see. The Skeptical Help Bar that I'm going to have on December 6th, I'm going to have Adam Chefs on it because he did 2 books called History's Haunted Headlines. Actually, it's like 3 books, and it's all headlines from the 1800s about ghosts and hauntings. It's actually really cool, interesting books. And then December 13th, I'm going to have Margaret Downey, who is a expert in frigitruscidecaphobia, which is the fear of Friday the 13th, which we're having a show on Friday the 13th.
It sounds like a diarrhea thing.
Frigitruscidecaphobia. It took me forever to practice that and get it down. So I'm going to say it as much as I can while I'm still sober. And then the next event that I actually have coming up is January 31st. I'm going to be, I don't even know where this is.
You guys are worse than women.
What was that? What are you doing?
That was Dana.
Yes, you guys are worse than women. You said you were being off how long ago, and you're freezing up my TV so I can't watch the fights because he's streaming the TV.
Can't hear her. Sorry. I'm not getting yelled at. The only woman that can yell at me is my own wife. You got the bottom spot.
I'll
again.
remember that.
I love you.
The wrath of Dana. Look out.
Less nagging, more gagging.
Oh my God.
They do know I can't hear anything they're saying, right?
She can't hear anything you say. Thank God.
I'll get more information, but I'm going to be.
We're trying to wrap it up.
Hanover Tavern Paracon, January 31st, that weekend with Tim and Dave. So Tim Vickers and Dave Schumacher, we're going to be there. We're going to be talking about our paper that we wrote on EMF. So it's mostly Dave wrote it. Me and Tim helped, but mostly Dave. But we're going to be talking about that. And then that's it for now. That's the only event that I have coming up that I'm in the foreseeable future. With that said, we are done. I'm going to play our outro. If you guys can hang out for like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes afterwards, so we can say goodbye. But for everyone else, I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. And remember, never stop learning. I'll see you later.
Hey, diddle diddle, here's a little riddle. Who's the best at bunker? Is it Kenny Biddle? Oh, he's good, not just a little. Not at the bottom or even the middle. Strike a chord like a fiddle. Tasting the rainbow like a skittle. That's fragile and brittle. You can watch him take a problem and start to riddle the problem away. He does not play. He takes his job so seriously. He loves a challenge and won't turn you away. It's such a skeptic. He keeps stones, believers exposing the fake. It wouldn't take him long to find a needle in hay. Use a magnet, damn it. Now take a drink of Kenny's specialty. Someone may say that's not for me. To each their own, what will be. Man, Kenny's such a skeptic, drinking skeptical tea. Like and subscribe, everybody turn notifications on. And go watch his show and forget about this song. Mr. Wizard or Bill Nye the Science Guy. Can you remember? You like Kenny better, so head to the skeptical help bar and meet the bartender. Pick up a drink and relax, cause nobody does this better. Not even close, not even a little. He's the one and only Kenny Better.